But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you whom we also have troubled minds. This is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, and we do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may ask? You may wonder, what are the things we're not allowed to talk about? Well, of course, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, propaganda, and the 24-hour news cycle. Oops, I messed that up. And the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, Periscope, and YouTube, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, just pick up the phone, let your fingers do the walking. You remember that old commercial? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. I fixed the link, so if you actually go to the website and click it, it will give you a direct invite to the Discord. After a while, the Discord links expire, so if you guys don't tell me, I don't know. So I did fix it, so it is fixed. I've had some people saying, I can't get in the Discord. So it is fixed. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. It'll give you a direct invite. It'll pop you right in, and you'll get to be in the club with all the cool kids, hang out with all the interesting folks that are in there talking about amazing things 24 hours a day. And also, please join the Fringe Discord. It's the same program. It's just a different chat room. Fringe.fm/chat. And that will give you a direct invite there. I'm watching all of them. I am watching all of it. So if it's this pretty neat technology, right? We always talk about Discord being an amazing technology thing, and it's totally true because, for instance, if you're in Discord typing in the show chat channel, it will give you an actual rundown of whoever's on all the other platforms, and you're able to chat with them as well. The only one that's not synced into that just yet is, of course, that's Rockfin. So, but that's okay. That's its own thing right now, and hopefully we'll get that sorted someday soon as well. So, like I said, I always joke back when Asher's on the show that we're big Discord fans for lots of reasons, because it is a chat room. You can just type to people like the old school AOL days. You guys remember that? If you guys are old enough to remember the old school AOL chat rooms. But then you can also do voice. You can talk like it's a telephone, and you could also stream video. So like I said, we talk about it a lot because it's an amazing place to get together. And as of right now, as far as we can tell, they don't censor it. So meaning that we're not like a despicable group of people. It just ends up that the technocrats are really being unfair with the things that they're censoring. So there are simple, basic conversations you can't even have anymore in some places, some platforms. But Discord is not that place yet. So there we go. There you go. James agrees with me. Discord is such a great thing, and it is true. It's I think all of the amazing things that Facebook tried to be, well, Discord's pulling it off. So there it is. There it is. What's up, Robert? What's up, Daryl? I see you guys over there on Rockfin. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about craziness tonight. Absolute nutter butteries, if you know what I mean. And what that means is, yes, the science is at it again, right? We're told to trust the science, right? Trust the science. Well, what about this science in particular? Shout out to our good friend Derek in Massachusetts, the famous or infamous Night Stalker, as it were, for again sending me this article. And the things he sends, you just can't ignore. Some of this stuff is unbelievable. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I see everybody out there in the chat. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being enthusiastic. Thanks for all the well wishes yesterday. I assure you it was nothing more than just a little bit of food poisoning. That's all it was. So I just didn't want to give you that green look mid show yesterday. So I thought it wise to take the night off, so we took the opportunity to put a different old Troubled Minds classic show on the podcast feed. I'm trying to do some every single day, 7 days a week. So if you guys have not joined that podcast feed yet, please do, and you'll be surprised. Some of the stuff that goes up there is no longer available anywhere else. So you're going to be able to get some actual old school Troubled Minds. Not that old, maybe like 6 months or a year old, but it's definitely good stuff. I'm going back and listening, and I'm further impressed with myself, if you know what I mean. Let me brush my shoulder off. I'm just kidding, by the way. But anyway, okay. So let's get to the point tonight. Now, like I said, this one was sent to us by our good friend Derek the Night Stalker, and this is from ScienceAlert.com. And you'll never believe this. Like, this is one of those ones. Like we always say, truth is stranger than fiction. Am I right? And check this out. This is pretty unbelievable. This is from ScienceAlert.com. Okay, and the headline is this. All right, now think. Open your mind and think in terms of where this leads. The rabbit holes, right? I always say we try and do this show in a nonlinear fashion, open-ended, and let's hear what you guys have to say, but just think where this leads. The headline is this: Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. I'll just let that hang in the air for just a moment. Just a moment, right? Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. What in the world is going on with this, okay? Now, not only that, interestingly, there's a lot here. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to talk about, because we've seen in recent days, we've seen some things with pop culture kind of sort of adopting this hybrid feel. We've got the infamous Alex Jones rant of human-pig chimeras happening in China, right? To of course, grow organs in pigs and be able to transplant them into people, right? There's like all kinds of things with hybrids these days. And it's strange that well, here we are. So apparently there is a thing, right? There is a thing why species cannot interbreed with each other, right? There's a thing. There's an actual DNA secret, they're calling it, all right? Now, to preface this and to just let you know where this comes from, they're talking about mosquitoes in this, okay? So it's not... As far as we know, there's no secret lab funded by, I don't know, a billionaire that's actually doing this right now. Wink, wink. Well, unless it's mosquitoes, of course, that's what we're led to believe. But that's the disclaimer. So as far as we're aware, they're just figuring this out in mosquitoes and right, things like this. So yeah, but if there's something biologically in our DNA that keeps us from interbreeding, well, don't you think that's... I don't know. I guess like maybe back up and think of it in terms of of, well, if we're talking about species and you believe in the evolution and that whole thing, the origin of the species, a la Charles Darwin, right? Is it Charles Darwin? We'll just say Darwin because I can't remember his first actual name. I think that may be right. But here's the crazy part about that in particular. So if the theory goes something like this, right? It's the evolution of a species is because of mutations, and the mutations that come and go and happen are, they cause different things in the species as it grows and develops, and they change into particular things, and that's what we're told is how evolution works. Well, don't you think if a species could, cross or interbreed, let's say, don't you think that they would skip all of that? Right? Meaning that you wouldn't need to wait on actual, would you call it speciation, on actual mutations, right? Within the genome to push the species to the next thing, the next great thing, right? So wouldn't it be faster, just in terms of like a natural thing, if species could interbreed? Because then you could skip a whole bunch of that, right? You wouldn't need mutations at all. You would just need species to interbreed. And of course, you would have some weird stuff, and you would probably have some amazing stuff. Anybody ever watch old school or read old school Greek mythology, or know anything about the Egyptian gods of old? Well, yeah, that's right. In Greek and Roman mythology, they had something known as a centaur, right? What's a centaur? Anybody know? Yeah, that's right. It's a horse body with a human torso. Is what it is. That's what a centaur is. What about, I've got a list here of some of these old gods we can go back to. If you go back and look at some of the ancient Egyptians, we've talked about Thoth, we've talked about Set, Osiris, Horus, you name them, right? No matter what, all of the Egyptian gods had some sort of alter ego where they said they could appear as human beings, like regular humans like us. However, they could actually as well appear in the anthropomorphic hybrid animal form, meaning that they, for instance, Set would have a dog's head, all right? Thoth would have the ibis head, or a baboon, okay? Things like this. Like I said, I got a whole list of stuff like this we can go through tonight, because it starts to make you wonder, doesn't it? It's like, okay, so if there is something built in to the human genome, to DNA itself, not just humans, but species the world over, that keeps them from crossbreeding, and scientists are homing in on this, well, what happens when they break down that barrier? That's the question tonight. What happens when they break down that barrier of species interbreeding, and they're able to remove that from a particular genome and allow that species to interbreed freely? Do you think that would be some sort of supercharged Darwinism? Do you think that would be, well, maybe a return to our roots of the Greek and Roman mythology and the centaur, or back to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? Back to the old days of the Egyptians with, what's her name? The cat head. I can't remember the cat head goddess. The names will come to me. I got lists here. We'll dig into those. But think about it this way, right? Back in the day, there seems to be people that believed this was true. All right, whether they were gods or demigods or this sort of hybridization happening. And so again, right, is it because they never actually saw the gods and they used a head representation of the baboon or what have you, the cat head or the dog head, to maybe represent what these gods of old were all about? Or do you think maybe possibly they actually saw, that's it, Sekhmet, the cat head goddess, that's the one, thank you. Or is it possible, ancient alien style, that maybe they saw these things? That maybe, did I click the right button? Yeah, oh, goodness gracious. That maybe, I thought I'd been talking for a long time with nobody hearing me. No, maybe, because I'm prone to do that, by the way. But maybe, what's going on right now? What's going on right now? So you tell me. Let's just read a little bit of this article as we think about these things. So once again, I ask you this. This is the question tonight. What do you think is going on with this? Do you think this is one sort of situation where finally we are getting back to our ancient roots, like 10,000 years ago type stuff, where maybe this barrier had been broken? maybe, I guess you could speak in terms of ritual, maybe the barrier back when they had these gods and goddesses and mixed things like Medusa with the snakes in the head and the snake tail and all this other stuff. Maybe there was some sort of barrier that was broken down then, and through some sort of ritual from now to then, they created a barrier to stop these things from happening. I don't know. Kind of, like I said, it kind of got me thinking about a lot of things just reading this one article. And what do you think? Do you think that it's a return to maybe previously unknown technology? Do you think maybe there's something here that is possibly like a scientific knocking on the door to undo a ritual of old? What's going on with this? And should we be concerned? With, of course, we've got Sweet Tooth that hit on Netflix, and it seems to be more and more that what do we call predictive programming is talking about hybrids, is talking about maybe getting us ready to accept them into society. And I think that's the weird part here. That's the bizarre part about this. It doesn't just seem to be scientific breakthroughs that seemingly happen every week, right? Some sort of new hybrid something or other going on, right? Remember we talked about the little brains, the mini brains that grew eyeballs, right? Things like this. Like there's some things going on that really harken at some of the stuff from the old days, and also into where we're headed today, which makes me a little bit uneasy. Because of course, right? We've talked about this in terms of a lot of things, specifically meaning that let's say, for instance, if we're trying to get us ready for transhumanism, okay? It's in pop culture, it's in comic books, it's in movies, it's right cyborgs, exoskeletons, people jump in and fight the swarms and swarming robots in the Matrix, things like this, right? It's all out there. And so it makes you wonder if we're being prepared in some capacity for that future. So when the first entity that steps out of the transhuman laboratory, as it were, it comes out of the sea foam like one Aphrodite, is actually a transhuman whatever you want to call it. And just like Alex Jones said, which is a little bit frightening when you think of this in terms of human rights. All right, the reason for that is because at what point, when you start creating hybrids or transhumans or even cyborgs entirely without the quote soul, at what point are they no longer human? And at what point is there a robot rights movement? Is there a hybrid rights movement? Again, right? This is what Alex Jones said. And I think he's spot on with this. Once they begin mixing and matching these actual interbreeding species, then it's no longer animal rights. It's no longer human rights. All right, okay? And that's the thing here. That's exactly what's on my mind with this. And not only that, if you go back, again, like I said, is this us rediscovering things from the past? Because again, in some of these cave paintings, some of these cartouches in ancient Egypt, they are depicting exactly what we're talking about. Hybrid species being able to interbreed possibly and create anthropomorphic hybrid entities. You see what's going on here? Something weird. So anyway, a new study suggests that satellite DNA, a type of non-coding DNA arranged in long, repetitive, apparently nonsensical strings of genetic material, may be the reason why different species can't successfully breed with each other. Back to that junk DNA, right? Back to the junk DNA. It's there for a reason, isn't it? As we like to say, the junk DNA. It's there for no reason whatsoever because humans are just beating their chest and howling at the moon in human hubris, just drenched in it. No, not in this case, right? Because, well, junk DNA seems now to be part of the equation of why species cannot interbreed. So this continues. It appears that satellite DNA plays an essential role in keeping all of a cell's individual chromosomes together in a single nucleus through the work of cellular proteins. The paper's here. I'll link the paper if you guys are super into the science and want to read the in-depth paper. This was reported in, let's see, what is it? I think it's academic.oup.com. I've got the paper. I'll link it in just a sec. But so this continues, right? According to biologists Madhav Jagannathan and Yukiko Yamashita, who authored the new study, that important role is managed differently in each species, leading to genetic incompatibility. So now this is the weird part. So each species actually manages this incompatibility with hybridization and mating cross species differently. They're just starting to figure this out. They're just trying to get to the bottom of this. However, like I said, given years, give it 10 years, what do you think is going to happen? You think we'll have centaurs roaming the world once again? I laugh, but I hope not. I hope not. I mean, so how about this? As another part of the question, do you think if a centaur was roaming the world once again, would it be amazing or would it be terrifying? There you go. There you go. That's the question tonight. That's one of the questions tonight. And do you think this is a good thing? If we break down the barrier between species interbreeding, like I said, is this a form of maybe supercharged Darwinism where we don't need to wait for mutation to bring about the next evolution of not just one species, but 2 or 3 or 4? When does it end? When does it end? A centaur, a horse, and a person, yes? What happens if you add, I don't know, what has wings? How about a falcon? What happens if you add that, right? Then you get the Pegasus, the Pegasus person, centaur Pegasus. I don't even know, right? The Greeks weren't even that strange. And so, well, here we are. Here we are, trying to figure out what the hell's really going on in this world. We'll read more of this paper as we go, but that's the gist of tonight. Like I said, it sends my brain in like a dozen different directions. Just reading this, just thinking about this. And again, this is from ScienceAlert.com. Thank you again to Derek in Massachusetts, the infamous Night Stalker, for sending me this article. And again, like I always say, if you guys have not joined the Discord, join the Discord, because I do take a lot of the articles you share and turn them into shows. Put them on the news show. We do a news show on Monday and Friday. Come share. This is why, like I always say, I can't see it all. I do my best, but it's impossible. But if we get all of us together and we share information, guess what? Nothing gets by us. Okay, so anyway, let's wind this down into our break here. But that's the question tonight. That's what's on my mind. Now, exactly do you think this is a good thing? Meaning the interbreeding of species. Like I said, can we look at this as some form of supercharged Darwinism that may usher in the next level of humanity? Meaning, well, they talk about it in the Marvel comics quite a bit regarding mutants. All right. Is that what we're talking about here? Is that what we're looking at? Are we going to be able to not only be able to break down the DNA secrets that allow species to interbreed, but then also pick and choose which traits happen in those species? I don't know. That would be the next step, wouldn't it? 10, 20, 30 years from now, maybe in our lifetime, we get to see a centaur galloping down the street. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Like I said, I'm not sure whether to laugh or cry, but if I started crying right now, well, probably half of you would just leave. So I won't cry. I'll wait till after to cry. But what's going on with this? This is the thing that has my mind kind of tied in knots tonight, because the more you think about it, I think the more disturbing this really is. Of course, because, well, it seems like the ancients knew something about this, whether it was through ritual, science, or some combination. It seems that maybe now Set, the Egyptian god with the dog head, possibly wasn't just a cartoon drawing on the wall. And so that's what's on my mind tonight. And I want to know what you think. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is this tampering too much? Playing God too much with the speciation of Earth? And given 50 or 100 years of tinkering like this, what do you think comes next? That's what's on my mind tonight. Yes, Tommy Boyce is the man, bear, pig. Kinda. Looking to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Man, Bear, Pig after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about hybrids, and an article from Science Alert has come out describing how they're finding the DNA block that keeps species from interbreeding with one another. So you tell me, is this a good thing, or is this a very, very bad thing? I like to say humans should not play God. Do you think this actually qualifies? If you're interested in that conversation, you are in the right place. And we're taking your phone calls because I'd love to hear your take on this. I've got some more to go through, of course, through this article and some of this other stuff. Not only did Derek, the Night Stalker, send me this article, he sent me a lot of companion pieces. There's a lot to get to here. So if you guys want to, as always, you guys know the drill. This is an open-ended discussion. We kind of do this in a nonlinear way, meaning we're going to take this wherever you want to take it. If you want to talk about the Anunnaki and the ancient Egyptians and the hybridization there, we can do that. If you want to talk about maybe the implications of the future of something happening with interbreeding species themselves and how that maybe affects human or animal rights, or maybe turn it into transhumanism, and that conversation, we can go there as well. We're all over the place because guess what? These conversations don't have to be as linear as everybody tries to make them. There are many layers to this. And what implications do you see on the way? So if you want to be part of the show, what do you think about this? We're taking your phone calls. Yes, we're taking. That's the best part of this show, to be perfectly honest, is the phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. It's as simple as that. Just jump in the caller queue over there on Discord, and we'll put you on. Matter of fact, it looks like we have some folks over there now. So let's go to James. James Salcido from Salcido Paranormal Podcast. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay, although a little bit worried about this article and just the whole topic in general. In a way, is kind of, I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't like it. That's a hell of a start. Because when I first saw it too, that was my first thought. It kind of gives you like a bellyache, doesn't it? So my bellyache yesterday really had nothing to do with this article, but well, let's just throw it in there and say it did. But why? So why does it make you uneasy? Let's talk about that first, because I think there's a lot of things here that are, let's say, a gut punch to humanity. Why do you think this is bad?
Well, as usual, I'm just looking at this from the spiritual angle, from the metaphysical or spiritual angle, and I'm just wondering what kind of energy would any of these things have that are made or excuse me, created in labs. You know, what I don't think they would have. I don't know if they would have any kind of spiritual energy or you know, the way that we do when we're like naturally born. I don't know if that's an assumption that I'm making there or not. I don't know, but it's just. I also feel like if there is energy and then they mix, you know, these two or more different species together, what does that do to that energy? I mean, does it still work or not? I just always think about the whole spiritual angle of everything, and this just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, we've talked about that before with hybrids, and is it going to be one of those situations where if you have to be 1/3 horse and live a good life to go to heaven, because if you're 2/3 horse and you can't go to heaven now, right? Like those types of like kind of complications with playing God, right? And so meaning that there's that whole argument that do even animals have a soul, which I think many of us that have animals would probably say easy slam dunk yes. However, some other people probably don't believe that to be the case. So what happens when spiritually you start combining species? I think that's a fantastic way to start this conversation. So where do you think it leads, I guess is the question here.
I think it leads to, possibly creating new spiritual energies, which I don't know that humans are supposed to be doing that, at least not while they're alive. You know, if there's some kind of universal force that makes everybody and everything, then I would think, that should be left to whatever that is, not to the people that are here that are not, no one is perfect. So those any kind of imperfections that you have in the process, who knows what kind of results that could have for whatever these beings end up being. Because I don't doubt that there could have been different kinds of hybrids in the past, or it's not that I'm saying that that's not possible, because obviously we don't know. I just don't like the idea of humans trying to do that.
Trying to play God, as it were. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it does start to become very sticky. Like I said, even just like on a basis, like your feet firmly planted in the real world. Again, what happens to animal rights? What happens to human rights? Is there? Yeah. Remember, like we said back in the day, suddenly a slave is 2/3 of a person or 3/5 of a person or whatever they said it was. Right? These types of things.
Right.
It's like this is the type of thing. It's like, okay, well, how do we vote? Right? Does a centaur get a vote, or do they get half a vote? You see what I'm saying? Just in the real world, starting a conversation like that, it kind of starts to get creepy. And then, of course, we get protected classes. Is it discriminating against a transhuman or a hybrid human? There's a lot here. Plain Frankenstein, says Lily. A couple good comments. Let me read these to you, see what you think. Jack says a platypus has to be a chimera. And let's see. Dr. Who Donut on Discord says, if you mess with human genetics enough, at what point do we lose our soul and sentience and become no longer human? And I guess that's the slippery slope of the point, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anything else? So you said maybe you don't want to go there with the ancient stuff about maybe the ancient Egyptians were possibly this, and maybe some ritual blocked this from happening the world over, and maybe they're just trying to find this out. Any take on that?
It could be. I also think that when we talk about how time is not linear, it just seems like that to us. So maybe, who knows? Maybe there are some people that at some point in time they end up making all those beings that we hear from the past, and that's what those are. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. So if check this out, let's play ridiculous now. And if you wanted to see a species from the past that was some sort of hybrid, like we're talking about, what would be the one? What would be the one where you were like, oh man, life just got real?
I want to say, because I love cats, I want to say cats. I don't know why. I love cats. Like some kind of a cat. Yeah. Although, like I said, I'm still not really totally sold on the whole idea to begin with. But yeah, that would be interesting.
Okay. Life gets real when James sees a cat person walking down the street. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough, my friend.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, just great show, as always.
I appreciate it. Everybody follow Salcedo Paranormal. You can find him at... Where do you find it?
Salcedo Paranormal at podbean.com.
There we go. Easy as that. Our good friend James here does paranormal stuff, and he's been on the show several times, and we'll have him back again to talk about paranormal things. But if you can't wait... Well, he's got lots of episodes over there that you can go listen to right now. Well, after this show's over, clearly, but very soon. I appreciate it, James. You're the best, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you soon. There we go. Easy as that. If you guys want to be on the show tonight, we're taking your phone calls, and you can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just join the caller queue, just like these nice folks that are there. And we're talking about hybrids tonight. And this bizarre article from Science Alert that says biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We said it. And so what in the world is going on? Like I said, I think for me, if we're gonna break it down to the WTF of all things is, if I wanted to see anything of some sort of hybrid, I want to see a centaur. I want to see a horse with a human torso, because why not? That was one of my favorites from back in the day. And hell, now they don't even have to have a bow and arrow, right? They could you could sling like an AR-15 over their shoulder, and it would look just as modern as anything. Heck yeah! We got some more calls to get to. We're going to do that, but that's what we're talking about tonight. What do you think of this? Once again, should humans play God with this sort of thing? And here we are again, funny enough, dealing with what's known as junk DNA. Oh, the junk DNA that we just keep calling it that, but it seems that it's in place to keep things like this from happening. The junk DNA seems to be anything but junk, and just because we don't know what it is, well, there's human hubris for you all over again. Here's human hubris. So we're taking your calls at 702-957-1037. Let's go to Austin. I'm not sure if he's there. Austin, welcome to the show. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you?
Excellent. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear. What do you think about this human hybrid stuff, my man?
I think it's been going on for a very long time, at least since the 70s when the Soviets, maybe even before that, but the Soviets have a video that you could probably find on the internet fairly easily. I don't think it's been removed from anything. It's like an old documentary, like declassified kind of thing. And it has a dog basically completely disassembled, and they have it like breathing, and they put like citrus by the dog's head and with all its organs attached everywhere. Like it was basically dead, but they just took a bunch of organs and like tried to make it come back to life. I think that's kind of how they got on track to the hybridization. I think that was the start of it, and I think that they were ahead of that even in those times. And if we found out about that publicly, I feel like 44 years further ahead the technology was in that time.
Yeah, so you're talking about it back in this was the 60s, right? The Russians actually attached two heads to a dog and kept the dog head alive for quite some time. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I thought it was the 70s, but I couldn't be wrong.
Yeah. In any case, 60s, 70s, and we'll call it close enough for this kind of conversation. Yeah. But so if this has been happening, they're talking about, I mean, let's go back to Greek mythology. The Cerberus, the three-headed dog of the underworld, right? We're talking in the 60s or 70s, the Russians actually created a two-headed dog and kept it alive for days, if not short weeks. And that's creepy. That's beyond creepy. So you think this has been going on. So what about interspecies? Do you think that's been happening as well in laboratories without them telling us?
Interspecies, like crossing a dog with a person or whatever, that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's been going on for a while as well. I think that's probably... So I'm one of those crazy guys that think they have deep underground military bases, that they have been doing that for a while. And I think like the overlords of our planet, I don't know what to call them, I can't remember. Credo, I've been listening to Credo Mufwa a lot, and I think that the same beings that messed with him have been messing with us ever since they first messed with us, which was a long time ago, like pre-green language. You know, like right when we had the green language thing, when we could speak like telepathically. Supposedly that's what Credo was saying, and I think he might be right. I think after how we broke off from that was manipulation from the start, like right there.
Yeah, some sort of genetic manipulation. So we're actually even talking about, so before the green language, before the Tower of Babel, we're talking like Anunnaki timeframes, like 750 million years ago type thing, right? Like way back. I think that's
yeah.
And so
I might have worded it. I might have worded it a little wrong. What I really meant was, when we had that, we weren't really manipulated. Maybe even then, that's a possibility. But what Credo was saying is that we had like we were at like our prime and abilities, and they deceived us by promising us a better time with our experience, and they split us into two caves, one with the green light and red light, and the ones that went in the red light became men, and the ones that went in the green light became female. and that's where it started.
Okay, gotcha. So this has been going on for quite some time, and like I said, do you think there's any? If we're speaking in those terms, do you think if you go back to like I don't know, like a mermaid, or like I said, like a centaur, things like this, or even the ancient Egyptians with like a god on top of a person's head, right, or a dog head on top of a person, right? Like, is that? You think that's part of this same thing? You think it's, or do you think this is completely different?
I think both of those things. Why not? You know, like, what if there's species out there that are dog-headed, like, people things, and then there's people out there in the infinite that were from that? I just can't really tell, because the beings that supposedly manipulated us, that Creed Omitwa was talking about, are like, they're kind of like us. They have 2 legs, they have 2 arms, but they're like reptilian, and they can like shapeshift, and some of them have a 3rd eye that you can actually see like sideways in the center of their forehead, the royals have it. And so that's what I'm saying, like, where do they come from? If they're like so powerful and stuff, if we don't know where they came from, then how are we supposed to know where we really came from? Or where any of these other things came from, like these hybrids? It's so hard to say. What if just different environments create natural, some of them might create natural differing evolution than other areas in the universe. And then you have here too, where we don't know what we're doing. We're just forcing it, and maybe forcing it is really bad with the hybridization. You know, thinking we can just skip evolution and do experiments on ourselves like that.
Yeah, so again, like I said, it kind of opens up a few different branches of conversation here. And is it the next page in the book of evolution? Is it becoming? Think about it. If it was like the way the species evolves naturally, is it now becoming an unnatural sort of evolution? And well, again, back to humans playing God. Great stuff, Austin. We got a call right behind you. So final thought while we got you on here with us tonight.
Yes, I think this would probably be better if I said it in the beginning, but it just made me click that. So when they really started, supposedly from our theory is like 60s or 70s, I think that they have been going down the wrong road with it, for sure. I think I was going to say something else, but I'll just leave it at there.
Fair enough. Austin in Michigan, I appreciate you being part of the show. Thanks for the call tonight. You're the best, my friend.
All right, have a better one.
Thanks a lot, man. You too. There you go. We're talking about this article from Science Alert. That was Austin in Michigan. Thank you for the great calls so far, guys. We have biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. And to be clear, this article is talking about mosquitoes, all right? However, once you can start hybridizing mosquitoes because they're breaking down the DNA secrets that lock interspecies breeding from happening, well, again, what happens 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now? Like I said, do we get to see a centaur walking down the street or a mermaid swimming around in the ocean? Yeah, well, taking your phone calls and talking about this. Are there spiritual implications? Are there, again, like human rights implications? Are there, well, maybe some hearkening back to the old days, the Zachariah Sitchin stories and the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greek myths? Is there something to this? With, of course, the Medusa, the mermaids, the anthropomorphic hybrid gods of the Egyptians. Yeah, you tell me. Love to hear from you tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Welcome to the show, Daryl.
Well, maybe some hearkening back to the old days, the Zachariah Sitchin stories and the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greek.
There we go. Hey, Daryl, do me a favor and just mute us up, and we'll put you on the show. There you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord. That link is now working at troubledminds.org. You click the Discord link. It'll give you a direct invite and put you on the show. We're talking about hybrids tonight. Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. What does all that mean? Let's see if we can get Daryl back on. Daryl, you there? Test 1, 2. Daryl.
Hey, Michael.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. How are you?
Cool. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Feeling great. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind tonight with this stuff?
Well, I was thinking about that. I think it's a bad idea, first of all. I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, talking about spiritually, what happens to the soul? Are you going to get the soul of a human, or are you going to get the soul of the animal you're crossbreeding, or both? Is there a conflict there? But then again, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could fly? Like if they could put wings on a man, or just pick the the benefits rather than the negatives. I don't know. It would be great if we could fly. I think we would want to fly, if anything. But then I was thinking about this. Most times, like if you breed like species, they wind up being sterile. And what if they what if they were gay? What happens if you have like a gay crossbreed? You might have a lot of sterility. I think they do that on purpose so that they won't breed anymore. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure regarding that because I think that probably the study of that is limited at this point because it doesn't happen a ton in nature. It does happen from time to time, but you're right. As far as I'm aware, again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Correct us if we're not right on this, but I think you are correct in that once they have some sort of was it like a donkey and something and a something is
horse and a horse and a mule? No,
a horse and a donkey is a mule, right? Something like that. Anyway, so point being is that so there is a higher percentage of actual infertility going on with that. So yeah, maybe, but I think kind of boiling it down to that, I think this stuff would have to happen in a lab anyway. I mean, you're not going to get like a cat to mate with, well, I don't know, a hyena. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just not going to go down.
I think you have to stay within the species. I don't think they could stretch it that far. Basically, you're going to have a bird with a bird, and you're going to have a fish with a fish, and a mammal with a mammal, a lizard with a lizard, a cold-blooded, creature. But I mean, are you talking can you cross a man with a snake, for example? Snake man, or a dogfish, or an elephant bug, like a mosquito and an elephant.
Exactly. Well, we're talking about all of it, Daryl. That's
right.
That's the crazy part here is how much of this sticks and how much of this goes by the wayside. How far can you push this? This is brand new. They're just talking about different species of mosquitoes right now. But what happens 50 or 100 years from now? Can we cross these different species to do exactly like you described? I don't know.
You can breed out the negative aspects of them. I don't know what you could do to cockroaches. Just make sure they breed out of themselves and breed into a sterile race. I wonder if they're doing that with the mosquitoes. I don't think it's a good idea, though. There's always a part of the food chain that they belong to. And once you remove one, it screws up the rest of them, I don't know that. I never figured the benefit of a mosquito or a cockroach. I haven't figured that out yet.
They probably think the same about us.
Or rats, too. Rats. What do you need a rat for? What do rats do? Who's eating rats?
That's a hell of a
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, maybe. All right, we're out of time, Daryl. We're out of time. Do you want to hang around to the top of the hour here? It's about 5 minutes. Okay, all right.
Sure.
So I'm going to mute you. Don't go anywhere. I'll leave you right there. You can listen right where you're at. Well, this is we're here with Daryl in New York, guys. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. What's going on with this? Is this alarming? Is this okay? What sort of thing do you expect to see in 100 years from now? And is this an ancient technology that maybe is just being unlocked again? Again, think back to the centaur or the mermaid, or, well, what about the Egyptian gods, the anthropomorphic hybrids? You tell me. Taking your calls, what do you think about this? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are randomly seeing images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things you're not allowed to talk about. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we are talking about, yep, that's right, this article from Science Alert. You'll never believe this. Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. And yes, of course, well, what does that mean? They're talking about mosquitoes in this case, interbreeding mosquitoes. But if they're going to get to the bottom of the secret that keeps species from interbreeding, where does this end? Does it have a link to the past? And if not, what does it mean for the future? That's what's on my mind tonight. And of course, we're taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. And yes, we're talking about centaurs. We're talking about all kinds of different hybrid animals. We're talking about mermaids. We're talking about the anthropomorphic hybrid gods of the ancient Egyptians. We're talking about all of that and more. And where do you think this heads? Animal rights, human rights, what is going on with this? What happens when you create a hybrid human something or other? Do you get a soul situation or not a soul? This becomes complicated, extremely complicated, no matter how you look at it. And that's what we're doing tonight, taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And I have to read this from Rockfin because this joke is too good to pass up. Ronald says this: if you interbred an elephant and a rhino, you would get an elephino. Well, who am I to argue against that? Because, indeed, the L if I know. Good stuff, guys. You were hilarious. All right, we have Daryl waiting patiently on the line. Let's go back to Daryl in New York. Welcome back to the show, Daryl. How are you tonight?
Hi there. Yeah, I was thinking about, that's funny. Hell if I know.
Exactly. That's very funny.
I love it. I love it. But apparently, I think that they breed in captivity. I think you'd have to keep people, like, I don't know if it would ever happen naturally, if you could ever breed intercross species. But I'm looking at something called a wolffin. That's a cross between a dolphin and a whale and a dolphin. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, whatever you do, once you start messing around with this, it just is all wrong. It's just wrong. You see, like, they call it ligers and a tiger and a lion, lions and tigers. They've interbred those. I mean, cats are notorious interbreeders, so are dogs. I mean, the dog and the hyena and a wolf. That's how we got our dogs, that we love. I mean, at first they weren't like purebreds. I'm not sure, I think that happened by our interference. So we've been successful in interbreeding certain species to produce something that we would like to domesticate,
Yeah, but, so that's the question, right? It is a thing, but it's a very, very limited thing on what can, right? So then once you start stepping into like a lion and a wolf, right? Then you have a problem, like, because genetically it just doesn't match. All that junk DNA says, hell no, we won't go, right? And we ain't doing that. But that's what we're talking about. So if they can break down that barrier and those things happen, I don't think it's naturally. I think we're going to be doing this stuff in laboratories. But you start to see how terrifying this could become, right?
Well, why would they create a centaur or a manotaur? Like, who would think of that, to put a man on a horse's body? Or apparently some of them had like ability to fly too. So why would you want a flying horse or like a cyclops? I heard that these things were considered to be monsters. I heard on one of these Egyptian shows that they found the bones in a tomb that were all like smashed up, and otherwise everything else was mummified. The Egyptians are known to mummify even like little birds and little cats. You know, they want to have all these things that they have on this planet or this plane when they're afterlife, except for these piles of bones that were discovered. And somebody had a theory that those were the bones of the centaurs or the manotaurs or the creatures they considered them monsters. And as soon as apparently the gods left, you know, and left this civilization without the gods, they saw the coast was clear. And as soon as those things died, they crushed their bones up so they would never see them in the afterlife. So, I don't know. I saw that on an episode of Ancient Aliens, I think. But it was very interesting, no?
Yeah, Ancient Aliens. That's part of this too, right? So the ancient astronaut theory goes something like that there were actual hybrid humans back in the day, and that technology has been lost, and that's why we don't see them anymore. However, if that technology is actually coming full circle and we're able to do that now, then all of those things we see, again, the cartouche stuff on the pyramid walls, things like this in tombs in ancient Egypt, maybe like we said with the Greek stuff, like I said, a Pegasus or a Minotaur or things like this. I agree. Who would want to make that other than let's see if we can make that? You know, and I think that's where this becomes a little bit terrifying is, well, let's see if we could put wings on a dolphin. So let's see what happens now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, is this where we're headed? Yeah.
I'd be pissed off if I was like a human and somebody gave me a tail or something. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Come on.
Exactly. Leave me alone. Right? Right? Like just let me be normal. We have a hard enough time like fitting in as just people amongst other people. Please don't give me wings. Let's not do that.
Give me a break. Right, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you could get them surgically removed, you know. You'd have to go through a lot of surgery and then a lot of therapy, because why did your parents do that to you, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, you're a nurse, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about tonight. I don't know. So we got Night Stalker behind you. Any final thought here before we move on?
Oh, I can't wait to hear Night Stalker's comments, especially if he's got some creations that we haven't thought of yet.
Nice.
I'm sure he does.
The LFINO.
Exactly.
All right, Daryl, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to leave you right here so you don't have to switch back. I'll move you out of the commercial break so you can catch up. I know you got some lag. So I'll just mute you. You stay right here. You get to hear us in real time. And we're going to bring Derek in. Thank you, Daryl in New York. I appreciate the call. Great stuff as always.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. All right, here we go. This is it. This is the call you've all been waiting for. This is Derek in Massachusetts. He's the guy who actually sent me this and actually the show on Monday. He is responsible. If you have any complaints, forward them to Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. And if you want to know where to find him, click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. You'll find him there. What's up, Derek? Whenever you're ready, my man. So we're talking about hybrids tonight, guys. We're talking about this bizarre article that came out from Science Alert. Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. And again, Science Alert and implications all over the place here, right? All over the place. So let's go to Derek. What's happening, Derek? How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Going on, brother? Great stuff.
Thank you. Thanks to you. Thanks to you. I appreciate you sharing the article. This is how we make amazing things, right? We put our heads together and talk about all kinds of weirdness. So what do you think about the LFINO?
A little collaboration, yeah.
Yeah, right?
That's a good one. This is a weird one. Like, honestly, the Sweet Tooth show really kind of got me on the hybrid track lately. So that's not me. All right. I'm going to kind of rattle through some of these articles I sent you, if you don't mind.
Sure,
of course. Get to some of these stories.
Yeah, do it.
So, kind of the thing that set me off was when you talked about it on your news show, but USA Today published a hybrid baby born. Or whatever, like the story, the links aren't in front of me, so if you have them, you can read them or whatever.
I got
it. they just posted it, like the ad for the Netflix show Sweet Tooth was just published on the front of USA Today, like with very hard to tell it was an ad. Like it seemed like it was a real news story on the front page of this baby hybrid, human animal hybrid, and I mean that's some like zeitgeist ritual stuff if you ask me, you know.
Agreed. I've got the article up. So as you talk about these, I'll just spin through these articles because I've already got them ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is pretty sick. Like I said, the predictive programming, getting us ready for the future. Like what's really going on here is the question. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah. So then it seems like they're kind of like getting us ready for it. You know, it seems like this kind of like they're like kind of greasing the pan for an actual hybrid invasion to start happening somehow. Like also with this hybrid Sweet Tooth show or whatever. Netflix came out with this reaction video where they had this like animatronic baby, like half bird, half human baby that like from a distance looks pretty real. And the video makes it seem like their reactions are genuine. But they're all like extremely positive. Like they're all freaked out at first, like, whoa, what's that? Like it's just a baby with wings coming out of like within a beak, like coming out of this stroller, and people like freaking out. And it was pretty, if it is completely real, like on the level, then like it was weird. And the reactions from like other babies, how it like there was no freak out factor. It was like, oh wow, what's that? Like get me closer to that thing. It really kind of like got your mind racing, you know. It was weird. And then Netflix also, I swear this is not a Netflix ad, but
You're good.
They also had a show like a month later, which I didn't watch, but it was like this dating show where people dressed up as like monsters or beasts or like half animal hybrid things, like things with like horns and like pig snouts and stuff. Like I don't really know the whole premise, but it's kind of just more of this getting acquainted with like the kind of interspecies erotica idea, you know, to quote Jane's to quote Clerks 2, you know. And then there's another link about furry craze popping up at this like high school or something, and it's just all these things combined with the actual like fact that they're trying to do this in the lab. And then another article you have is that this actually came up in the Senate like a week before the show premiered, a week before that newspaper ad. If you have the link, like that's a wild one to me.
Sure did.
And it did not pass, like it failed. Yeah.
Yeah, May 27, 2021. Senate kills GOP legislation to prohibit certain human animal chimeras.
It did not pass. Yeah, they shot it down. So it's still illegal to do. That is wild to me. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, and I think that's the thing, right? And you got to really dig into what this legislation says, and that's part of it, right? It gets a headline, it goes away real fast, and this is why you don't trust the media. This is absolutely why you don't trust the media, because you don't know what actually this is. They used it to smear the GOP, right? But are they pumping them up? I don't know. I don't even care, because again, it's political smear. But what was actually in the document? I want to read what's in that document. I'm going to see if I can dig that up at some point. Because, right, like, so if certain human chimeras are not allowed, which ones are? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, is it just rules like regulating what kind of experimentation you can do? Is it like you can't steal people and like snatch people up? And like, is this where all these hundreds of thousands of missing people are going to some my lab situation where they're like getting hybridized or whatever? It's dark. I can't think of the show, but like saying that reminds me of something where somebody gets like kidnapped and gets like put in all these cages, and they realize they're doing like they see people with like crab claws and like weird like hybrid experiment trying to like mix DNA together and like mix different like animal parts together to create like super soldiers or any kind of weird sinister reason a mad scientist could use to justify these things, you know.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Good friend Ash, the reptilian from Mars, said, finally, we can have interspecies warrior babies. Hybrids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what they do.
What's up, Ash? Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah.
And then you bring in the robot stuff and you get these things with laser vision and metal wings and stuff instead.
Like, right. Crazy. The Digi-Dog with organic wings or something. Yeah, craziness. Yeah. So I know you got more, but I got some questions to ask you as well. But continue, as I know you got a ton here.
Well, just to be like, why is this happening? Like, why are they doing it? One theory that I like the synchronistic kind of ritually idea, is that the elites are trying to recreate the conditions, like the pre-flood conditions, like whoever made the comment about in the days of Noah, whatever. Like that's kind of what they're trying to do, is create the time when like these like Nephilim hybrids and all these things were running the earth in order to potentially create a new cataclysm. Because the point of the flood was to wipe away all these hybrids. So there's one theory that the elites believe that they'll be saved when this happens, so that they want it to happen. They're trying to bring on this cataclysm. Another one I heard is that the old ones have a taste for hybrids, and they'd rather the population be half animals than just a bunch of humans, which is another cool one. Scary, but cool.
Yeah, I like that idea too. So the idea of the flood also fits in with the Anunnaki story and Zacharias Sitchin describing exactly that, where the flood possibly was Nibiru swooping by or things like this. I don't know the exact details because that story goes back, like I said, probably 1 million years. But if that flood did wipe out, the giants, they say, from the Bible, possibly things like this, then, well, what are we doing now? Are we trying to put it all back together? I think that's another good way to look at this. Crazy stuff.
At the same time, I'll find the link after I get off the phone, but there was like a big art installation, like a worldwide thing, where these giant blank statues like went up that were giants, like 30 feet high or however high they were. But they were like empty vessels, like faceless giants that you can kind of like project whatever image you want onto it. Mm-hmm. And it was the week of this sweet tooth thing and all these hybrid things coming out in the zeitgeist. So there was one article about like giants and hybrids, like end times are coming up again. And I'll try to find the link, but it's pretty interesting. Like in like 20 major cities all over the world, these giant, weird, creepy art installations with these giants, trying to recreate the conditions to bring about the flood.
That's
weird way to think about.
I'd rather not have that. Let's skip the flood. Thanks. No, thank you.
Exactly.
So you got more? I know you got more. You sent me a whole bunch here, man.
I don't have them in front of me, so. Okay. What do you got?
Oh, good. So then, do you think that it is some sort of like you described, like maybe a ritual to bring back the conditions of the flood? Do you think this is maybe like they've described in the Anunnaki story and hybridization in the ancient astronaut theory, that whole thing? Do you think that this is an old technology that's now just been forgotten and is now being unlocked again, meaning that all that stuff like the centaur and all that stuff I was describing and that the anthropomorphic hybrids of the Egyptian gods actually were real? Or do you think that that's just, again, a drawing on a wall somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a lot of different things you can, like different ways you can take it. I think Rohan's behind me, so he'll probably talk about the idea of like he's talked about before, inhabiting these animals and getting these like powers from animals. So potentially some of these ancient portrayals are trying to depict that. Like maybe some of these gods were like channeling some kind of animal power or something, and that was portrayed in the art. But also like it could be the idea that we are going through natural cycles like yugas or like the sine wave of the aeons or whatever, this rise and fall, and that things kind of cycle through, so that perhaps there's just, when we get to a certain point, hybrids just start getting created. Like in the show Sweet Tooth, like they make it seem like it's also accompanied by a virus. Like I don't know if anybody's seen this show, but the whole like the tagline for the show is we don't know what came first, the hybrids or the virus, and like that's the whole show. They go hand in hand, and which is pretty creepy. So the idea that like these plagues and hybrids and like advanced technology that's potentially destroy the world, is that something that happens like every 10,000 years or something? Is it just a natural cycle that civilization takes, rather than like some sinister agenda by the elites to bring on the apocalypse? I don't know,
Yeah. But, what's interesting too about Sweet Tooth and that Netflix show and the virus is they were murdering these hybrids, right? Because they didn't want the virus to spread. Mrs. Strange.
I don't want to give a spoiler. Like this is like tune out for 10 seconds if you're going to watch the show. But the way they cure it is by draining the adrenal gland of these hybrid babies.
Oh snap!
Like, that's the crazy. So I don't know. I mean. But then, like, just to touch on the kind of synchronistic we were talking about last night in the Outside Our Minds thing, the idea of the potentially there's like a bunch of different genetic manipulations that aliens did like during the day, like in the past, like the Anunnaki could have been like a relatively recent one, and there could have been every few thousand years, a few million years, different interventions. Like the first humanoid is a theory. Gordon White talks about it. The pig-chimp hybrid that they fused, like the first like human being, proto-human, was they took a primate and like a regular monkey, a chimp, with a pig, and that's what created proto-human. And then there's countless other genetic manipulations along the way to give us different intelligence and those different bump ups in our consciousness and all that kind of stuff. But the only really evidence he gives that I remember, at least, is the fact that humans are the only primates that don't have a bone in our penis. And that was like, it was like 7 years ago that I heard this, but it always made me wonder. And then is that why some cultures don't eat pig? It's because it's too close to human meat, you know? Like, it's too close of a relative to us, you know? It's weird. It makes you wonder, like, how many times did aliens or whoever interfere with us, you know? Like, I don't know, was this missing link something more recent, and like, or different aliens coming in, like, I don't know, are we just some big soup, some big cosmic soup that's been tampered with by different races throughout the eons? I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I know we're running out of time, so
it's
I'll
cool.
let you go.
I know the answer. You know what the answer to that is?
What?
The Elephino. The Elephino.
Yeah, the Elephino, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Derek, you're the best. The Night Stalker guys, check him out. Come join the Discord. You can say hi to Derek. He's an amazing dude. Clearly, you can see. Again, thank you, Derek, for sending me all the great information you sent. This show and Mondays dedicated to our good friend, the Night Stalker. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. Appreciate it.
Later, dude.
Thanks. Have a great night. There you go. You guys want to be on the show? We're still taking your phone calls. That's Derek. That was Daryl here in the chat. We're talking about all kinds of stuff. I've got an article here real quick, like Derek was describing, because I'm prepared. How genetically similar are we to other life forms? That's right. 98.8% genetically similar to humans are chimps. Yep. 90% similar are cats. 60% similar DNA-wise are fruit flies to humans. I've got a whole article here. You know where to find it. Just scroll down to the bottom of the YouTube and you'll see all the articles I brought out in the description box, because that's what we do. Even if you think it's all a bunch of hogwash, there you go. There's the sources. Go read them. Go check it out. Read them and weep, because of course, as we talked about, and I hate to steal the joke again from Ronald on Discord, the L if I know. What's up? Thank you, Robert, for a tip on Rockfin. Appreciate that quite a lot. He's been very enthusiastic about the show, tipping when he enjoys it quite a lot. I thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Let's keep on trucking, and you know what the deal is. We're taking your phone calls tonight, which means we're talking about hybrids. That's right. I'm talking about hybrids. And of course, this article that came out from Science Alert, sent to us by Derek from Massachusetts. Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. What the hell is this about? Yeah, you already know. It's the Elephino. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Periscope, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we are discussing hybrids. That's the Netflix show Sweet Tooth. This article right here from Science Alert, biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. Nothing to see here, right? How could this go wrong? That's what we're thinking about. That's what we're talking about. What are the implications? Are there implications for the soul? Implications for the future? Human animal rights? You tell me. Where's this going to lead? And is it, if you think about it hard enough, does this circle back to the past? Maybe the Greek mythology and maybe the Egyptians. It's hard to say, right? Well, as Ronald in the chat said, when you mix an elephant and a rhino, what do you get? The Elephino. I love the joke. I'm going to keep leaning on it. If that's not an amazing dad joke, I don't know what is. All right, so we're taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. We're talking about Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. So let's go to the mighty Rohan. Rohan, welcome to the show. How are you, man? From Rohan from the UK.
How you doing? You all right? You got me?
Loud and clear. Okay, my man.
Oh.
Feeling better.
Thanks. Yeah. Good. I love that. I just want to start off at that point with Ronald. I told him he should write a set, get down Comedy Club, take on Joe Rogan. I suggest start with Horst Dewormer and go from there.
Right? I thought it was a hell of a joke. Had me chuckling. It got an actual belly laugh out of me. The LFino. Yeah, man. Exactly right. That's really what the show's about. I'm gonna change the name of the show to that with Ronald's permission. But yeah, so what do you think about this stuff? Again, right? So many implications here for the soul, for the future. Does this link to the past? What do you think about any of this stuff?
Well, I think I'd like to rekindle a recent nightmare that you've hopefully forgotten about, and I'm going to bring it back for you. What about the old flying scorpions, or better still, flying Thunderbird scorpions?
Yeah, with breathing fire, right?
Yeah. Which reminded me, my brain works. Remember we was talking about astral blades the other day? It was on about the Chris blade. Okay.
Oh, yes.
It turns out, forgot all about that, right? At the bottom of the blade, all of them have got it. The way they shape them, it means when you right at the bottom, there's a blood groove, and to one side, so the blood can drip out. There's a Garuda bird from Hinduism, and it like comes out of its mouth. And the Garuda bird is Vishnu's vehicle to fly through the sky, and the Garuda bird is a hybrid, and it's got it's the enemy of all snakes, and it's got a snake for a tongue. So, well, it's just a little segue, little synchronicity there from that one.
Yeah. So he's talking about a conversation we had a couple nights ago in the the after party. If you guys aren't in the Discord yet, you're missing a great conversation that happens after the fact. It goes all over the place, wide ranging. It includes what we talked about, but it also doesn't include any of that at all. As you see, right, all you have to do is listen to Troubled Minds for like a week or 10 days, couple of weeks, and you'd be like, damn, we're all over the place here. Well, that's what it's like afterward, too. So we're all over the place. Open-minded people, trying to be good to each other, and just let our minds wander a little bit, and it's a good thing. So with the Chris there, explain for the folks that don't know, it's a sword. It's a sword that's kind of in a jagged fashion, not jagged, like a snake would be, right? And the reason you're bringing it up is because they say that when they make them, it's some sort of like you have to infuse some sort of maybe soul power or something else from interdimensional power or something into this, right?
That's right, yeah. Like I think I explained it a bit like Hattori Hanzo, where and they will really take the time and be serious doing incantations. It's made by a shaman called an Impu. It's and they use two different types of metals, and so the idea is to try and attract soul spirit into it. So then it's like a person, and you have to get to know it, and you have to get to familiar with it, and you should be able to use it in the spirit world. And that's what Night Stalker was referring to when he said Rohan might mention the fighting styles, because you can do trance work with it. So like I say, it could be representations of, like, if I do tiger style, they might do me as a tiger man. You know what I'm saying? And it turns out there's all kinds of style animals. There's wild boar style. So maybe that would be the Minotaur. Because the way you fight, you stand with a big horse stance and you put your elbows out. They're your tusk type things. And you just because you've got a nice wide horse stance, you'd think you'd be able to kick somebody in the groin, but it's really difficult because it shuffles forward really quickly, constantly spiking you with elbows. So it keeps knocking you off balance. It's for bigger people because they can use the weight to overpower you. And there's a scorpion style where you be sneaking, you just use your go away finger, your middle finger, and your index finger, and you just keep stinging people, like in the clavicle, your collarbone. And so it just really hurts, and you can just push people down with your fingers. So you do get these animal styles that represent him. But at the same time, if you look at the ancient Sumerian medicine symbol, it looks like a DNA helix. And the cadus, the medical symbol that we use today, two spiraling snakes up a pole, it looks like a DNA helix. Do you know what I'm saying? And we know now you can do this stuff. We've known for a while you can clone things. So if you can do it now, then you can do it in the past, because this notion that everything's been linear and we're the most advanced is we know it's nonsense as guys. These, you know, so there has, and like I mentioned the other day as well, Jonathan Gray, 900 examples in his book Dead Man's Secrets, 900 examples of ancient technologies better than ours. So it kind of makes it look like you can do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably been done in the past. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Yeah. I dig it. So I wonder exactly, is that built into us as part of this? And it's a way of us remembering those fighting styles. Kung City says, the lessening of years from the human lifespan by the manipulation of DNA seems like another form of population control, no? Nice call. No. The elephant, I know. The elephant.
That's a classic. That's never going to get old, is it?
I don't think so. I'm not through with it yet. I'm going to wear the hell out of that one. But yeah. So, okay. So then again, right, like I asked Derek, do you think it does go back to like an ancient civilization that maybe knew how to do this? And that's where we get the Greek depictions and the Egyptian depictions of some of these hybrids, but way back? Or do you think, again, it's just a drawing on a wall?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, yeah, for real. I think, you know, because it can be, if someone can, and they're saying, if it can be done, someone will do it, kind of thing, you know. And we might even have a remnant of it that no one's really noticed. And I've always wondered about it, because there was a record label I used to like called Platypus Records. They used to do trance. But the platypus, think about the platypus, right? A cute little platypus. It's like a mini bear with the face of a dog. It's the only mammalian that lays eggs, right? And on the back of its ankles, it's got snake fangs.
Yes, exactly. And
so, well, what the hell's that?
I don't know. Don't make me say the joke again. I have no idea, and that's part of it, right? I mean, people have said that like an elephant has like 8 brains or something like this, and 12 stomachs, or I got those numbers wrong, but something crazy like that, right? And so they've if you talk about Giorgio Tsoukalos and the Big Hair and Ancient Aliens, he says, well, is an octopus an alien? Well, of course you know the answer. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Yes. I don't know, though, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if I'm willing to go there, but I think it's a fascinating conversation, especially when you're talking about hybrids. And we've talked about Atlantis and Lemuria and some of these supposed ancient civilizations that were technologically advanced. So it stands to reason, if we're on the cusp of being able to do this, let's say in the next 50 or 100 years, of really creating a mermaid, for instance, why the hell wouldn't they have been doing it back then? Like I said, it's not about whether you can. It's about if you can, you do it. Very much like Michael Crichton, and I always like to bring up that quote from Jurassic Park. They were too busy worried about if they could do it. They never stopped to ask the question of whether they should.
Yes, that's the thing. And that was, I watched this, and that's what brings me up to this. There's a movie where this stuff happens, and it's supposed to be a comedy, and it is a comedy, but it's like quite horrific at the end. And it's about this guy who gets he's broke and stuff, and his girlfriend's a performing artist, so they haven't got much money, and he gets this job, like a call center job. It's called Sorry to Bother You, and he figures out he can get really good at it. Because he's a black guy, he decides to try and speak like white people to seem less threatening, and he starts doing really well, making a lot of money. So they keep promoting him, and he gets in this secret club. All right, it's a comedy, but it's really horrific at the end, because it turns out this company has got this secret side project, and they want him to go and work at this other division. But in order to do it, he invites him into his special office, and he feels all special, and they're bigging him up and that, and then he gives him a drink, like, oh, do you want some of my special whiskey kind of thing? And then he explains they're going to move into another division, and they're showing this secret experiment they've got, and they're making hybrid horsemen. And they're saying, oh, the thing is, if you work there, you've got to become one of those. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And he says, well, you are, because we've put the chemical solution in that whiskey. So you're going to turn into one. Do you know what I mean? So he's on a mission to try and stop it and expose it all then, and realize he's made a huge mistake. And he finds some of them. He finds some of them locked up, and they're all in pain. They're on the floor, help me. You know what I mean? And it's it's supposed to be a comedy. It's like, what the hell?
Is that funny?
I didn't find it funny. I didn't find it funny at all.
But hey, man, so there's some sick things that you can call comedy, right? There's I don't know, and I think again, right, like there's a lot of implications here, not just with the scientific aspect of this. Again, what about the soul? Like people have described it, would God accept that soul as a human hybrid, right? Whether it's we've been making the jokes tonight, I'm half horse, from the waist down or whatever, but like what's that do to your soul? You know what I mean? Does it taint it enough to where again, I'm not a particularly religious guy, but many people are, and these things are important. They matter, right? And not in like a eugenics way, but in like a people are people, and then once you take people and make them not people anymore, they're not people anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, we've already kind of got that with that. If you classify, I don't know to bring this up, but the late-term abortion bill, that's not a baby then, is it? Do you know what I mean? Well, that was the problem with it. It's not got human rights anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So we've already kind of got that. Do you know what I mean? But think about this, right? I'll just mention religion and stuff. If you consider that angels are not humans, right? If we would say that was the case, then what happened when people wanted to have sex with angels at Sodom and Gomorrah? They said, you guys get out of town and we'll take care of those people that want to do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and then fire and brimstone after that, by the way.
Yeah. Take care of him not Pulp Fiction style, take Uma Thurman out, take care of him. It's Pulp Fiction style, Bruce Willis sees, Vincent Vega coming out of his bathroom, take care of him.
Right, exactly. And even worse than that, that's probably just the first step here. That's how terrible that was supposed to be, the pillar of salt and that whole thing, Sodom and Gomorrah. But so I don't know, I think a lot of implications here, and I don't know if you got to predict when we can maybe put like a mammal together with another mammal, two like completely separate. Let's say like a giraffe. That's too big. Let's say a horse and like a dog, like a horse dog, right? How long do you think it is before we can create something like that?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say 100% believe this, but I think let's say these things can be done, right? You know that the scientists or geneticists have invented synthetic DNA, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so you heard about that. And it's for decades in this country. So we got some of these kind of labs, okay? Like Peasmore, it's one of the most secure labs in the world, or secure facilities on the planet. It's in like the top 5, like up there with Pine Gap and stuff. And there's been so many rumors coming from that military base about they're making programmable life forms, aka like alien type things. Do you know what I'm saying? The security guard that reckons he used to work there, and he called Barry King, that talked about it like in the 90s. Do you know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot of rumors about that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And you think, what about that? And that question you asked, should we do it? Well, if you looked at the Buddhism tradition, rather than they'd say like this. They said that because if you're not human anymore, if you're hybrid, right? In Buddhism, it says being human is so precious and so rare. To become human is the equivalent of what are the chances if you've got to put a football in the ocean, right? And you've got one turtle swimming around the oceans, and the chances of becoming human is the chances of the turtle just happens to swim underneath that football and rise up, and it happens to be on top of its head. That's a pretty rare thing. How long do you think that turtle will have to swim around the ocean and the ocean currents and the football to come and meet the turtle? That'd probably take trillions, and what's bigger than trillions? Uber Googles. It probably takes so long. So if you don't become human anymore, you're probably going to have to start off the bottom of the chain again, if that were true, with the Buddhism stuff, and be like an animal again, and get yourself back up to being human. Do you imagine how long that's going to take, going through every animal? Do you know what I'm saying? To become human again. So do you really want to give it up? Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, hell no. Yeah, exactly. If we have to start it all over again, it's like a morbid version of like man-made version of what's that called when you come back? Reincarnation. It's like that. Yeah, I'll keep my lucky month.
It's like a bad version, isn't it? It's like a downgrade, proper devolution.
It's going backwards. Yeah, exactly. I think that, and that's the scary part about this. Now, all right, Rohan, we're going to move on because I got to get to a few more things just before we finish. You're welcome. Everybody's welcome to call back in the third hour. So hang tight. If you want to jump back in, you're more than welcome to. And I'm going to keep trucking. I just want to get to a few more things real quick, and then we'll finish this up and then get to the third hour of Troubled Minds. Thank you, Rohan in the UK, the mighty Rohan. Always great stuff. I appreciate it, my man.
No worries.
Thanks a lot. There you go. All right. So we got all kinds of stuff to talk about, of course, because where we begin is this. Just to recap, biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. All right. So again, this article talks specifically about mosquitoes. All right. That's one thing. However, once you start to break down what each species has as a blocker from interbreeding with other species, what happens? What happens as a result of this? And that's what we're looking tonight. And I want to just point this out. I keep bringing it up, and it's because there's some pretty spooky things, right? 12 incredible Egyptian gods and goddesses with animal heads. And so, again, I hate to be the ancient astronaut theorist say yes guy, because my hair's not quite that big. However, if you look at this, and you look at some of these, right? Anubis got the dog head, right? You look at Bastet, that's what I was looking for earlier, has the cat head, right? You look at Horus, has the head of a falcon, right? You look at more, let's see, there's more here. Montu and Khonsu, they both have heads of a falcon as well. Ra has the head of a falcon with a snake hovering over it because, of course, he's the sun god. There's a lot of things going on here, right, with some of this hybridization type stuff. And we got a few minutes left for you if you got a take on this. What do you think? Yeah, fantastic call, Rohan. Thank you very much. And let's go to, who is this? Yes, there we go. Looks like our good friend JR in New Mexico. Am I right? Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, pleasure. Thanks for the donation last night. I caught that.
JR.
Thank you so much, my man, JR. Go right ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, yes, sir. So, just enjoying the show, trying to listen. But I wanted to share a quick story. So, sure. I had a buddy of mine. He knows I like, stuff like this. He had called me the other day to remind me of a story we had heard when we were younger. It was of some friends of ours. We were younger, and they were so we were going into high school, and they were starting college, or had already been in college for a couple of years. So one of the guys was a security guard, and the other had been studying at the Institute of Mining over out in Socorro. They're pals. Apparently, they had gone out and taken a hike with each other. So this was my cousin's best pal, and I didn't got too much detail, but I had gotten interested, years later, and kind of done a little investigation myself. But the two of them had gone out, rock hounding. Out in Socorro, there's a peak called Labron Peak. It stands for thief. It means thief in Spanish. So the peak, if you were to see it, is a very random, very flat, beautiful desert area. But you see the peak, and it sticks out. It's just a random, very interesting rock formation. Well, if you study it, you find out there are a lot of interesting things, a lot of different minerals and things of that matter. Well, they had taken upon themselves to go and explore. The guy that had been studying at the Mining Institute had also had a degree in geology. So they had gone out there, long story short, been chased out of the mine, and I've gone and checked this place out, but according to them, they were chased out of this place by a half man, half cow.
What?
And I was like, what? Half man, half cow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, go into more detail. And what do you mean? Like a shapeshifter? No. This was this very matter of fact. They told the story very matter of fact. It was half man, half cow. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. So I gone out there several times, and the way it's set up is it's hard to get to the actual peak. I don't know if any of your listeners have gone out to Labron, but it was inhabited for hundreds and hundreds of years. The Apache, the Navajo used it. The Apache Navajo during the Apache Navajo raids, they used it as bunker. It had a mystical power to it. There was an impenetrable area to the Spanish invaders and other people. It had handfuls of stories of it being used as like a safety deposit box throughout the time, people being chased out. But these guys were very matter of fact about saying, hey, there was this, well, I'd gone out there and I investigated. There are all these different tunnels and everything. It's hard to get to the actual peak. It's like a labyrinth. And once you're there, the beginning of the peak, the different holes and everything that are out there, it's interesting. There's a lot of different a lot of different cow. Well, anyways, to get to the point, this guy studied geology. Ended up he had gone to this into one of the caves, and actually had found like a crystal too. And he couldn't exactly determine like where it was from. Similar, because I was downtown Santa Fe today. They're getting ready to celebrate the fiestas for the Reconquest. So I was down there and listening to the Loretto Chapel and about the Turkish the wood, and it was not indigenous to the area. Well, this crystal they had was not indigenous to the area. He couldn't figure out. He couldn't wrap his head around. This isn't from New Mexico. Well, he started having these weird dreams, and I've heard another story kind of similar. Well, this came directly out of his mouth, and having these weird dreams and yada yada. Well, long story short, he went and tossed the stone back in there, not thinking much of the hybrid, but apparently as they were going, he's seen it again. Well, he told his cousin about it, and the cousin, this is where it got a little weird. Well, the cousin was ex-military, and they were eating at Denny's one night, and one of the ladies was talking. One of the waitresses was, "Oh yeah, was it one of the people from the experiments or the Trinity Project?" Well, it just so happened that there's a biological weapons laboratory that was not too far from there where they were doing tests and stuff. And then Socorro here was our first COVID case, which is kind of interesting. And then 2019 was the anniversary in Corona, New Mexico, the 50th anniversary of the crash landing, right?
Roswell, yep. Which was actually Corona. It wasn't Roswell. Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Go right ahead.
But yeah, so he never found out the origin of the crystal. They threw it back. They'd been in the Denny's. They were relaying the story back to the waitress. She was like, well, talking about the lab, talking about Trinity Project. Oh, it was probably someone that had gotten an effect. They all laughed about it. Well, the uncle that had overheard the conversation, missing a couple hooks from the tackle box, okay, he decided to take the matters into his own hands, and apparently this is where the story gets a little weird, but they never saw the hybrid again or anything, but they took two sticks of dynamite out there and apparently threw it into that cave. And the cave, I can go out there and I can take pictures, and it's there's crumbled rock. Well, it's a beautiful area. There's a lot of interesting history. It's different. Definitely has a different feel to it.
Hey, JR.
And I've been out there and I've looked at it.
JR.
Go ahead, sorry.
Hang tight. We got to finish up on the radio here. I'm going to put you on hold for just a sec. We'll get right back to you, okay?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hang on just a moment. All right, so we're a great story here from our buddy JR in New Mexico. We're done. Thanks for listening, guys. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Third hour of Troubled Minds coming up. If you're listening on Fringe, stay tuned for Joe Roop, Light in the Void. All right, we got JR on the phone in the middle of a great story, so I am not going to cut him off here. We're going to just keep on trucking. We're going to go kill this music. We'll take a break when he's done, but let's go right back to this because great story happening here, and let's go right back to JR. Sorry about that, JR. Welcome back to the show. Continue, my sir. Carry right on.
So I had been listening to the show and obviously thinking about that story in the having it in the back of my mind, and just thinking, throughout New Mexico, you have different hotspot or portal or Stargate, whatever you like to call it, and over there, there had been a couple people that had just, that missing 411 style where they had just completely vanished, no trace, nothing, no piece of clothing, no shoe, but just completely vanished. So I'm thinking there may be a portal. If it isn't some type of updated experiment, running around the desert, or some type of being that's able to hop in and out of portals, similar to our big furry, buddy. But I believe the story. I was out. I've been out there several times to try to check it out, to just kind of hike and enjoy myself. But I think that area has definitely maybe like a portal or some type of Stargate, similar to Los Alamos. You've heard all the different stories about the different Stargates out there. Well, I've heard several different stories of hybrids running around the mountains out there. They talk about like a half elk, running around. And I've personally never seen anything like that, but I would. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. I've heard stories like this though. You're probably familiar with the Phil Schneider Dulce base, which is on the border of New Mexico and Colorado. There's said to be like little people that live up there in the hills, and they've been telling stories of these like, not like little people, like we're talking like 2 feet tall, like gnomes or sprites or goblins or whatever you want to, fairies, I don't even know, right? But I've heard stories like this where the locals have seen these things, or like you said, maybe secondhand had a story of people who've seen these things. That's pretty wild, man. And so you can actually go out to this cave. So they put the crystal back in the cave and put explosives in there. Is that right? Did I catch that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then so it collapsed the cave is what happened?
They did collapse the cave.
Okay.
Yeah, Dulce, I've spent a lot of time, with a lot of the natives throughout New Mexico. I've heard a lot of the different stories. New Mexico's, Dulce is one of those areas, okay, that you hear you have a lot of the UFO sightings out there, of course, tons of the UFO or drones or UAP type deal. That's not like out of the ordinary. You go there, that's just something typical that you see. But you talk to some of the locals, and you start to hear some of the stories that your perspective will definitely change. I mean, that's out there. I know the. I was actually reading that old. What is that? Jack Coots. He wrote a cool little story in there about the Dulce base and how many different the different levels and reptilians and different experiments that take place. Well, this may have been an experiment that had possibly been released, escaped.
Got
That's
out.
never something out of the, just like a virus, just like a pathogen, virus or something like that. It's very easy for something to escape the lab. I think that's pretty interesting. That's very a cool place to take the mind. Something interesting to think about.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, I've never heard any secondhand or even seen firsthand anything like that, a hybrid with my own eyes. But again, that's why we talk about this, because you got to think about it in terms of like we talk about these underground labs and things like this. If, like Jeff Bezos, we just talked about on Monday, like if they're kind of like wink, wink, give us immortality, right? Like what kind of things are they doing? And not just that, you got to think about like people like the Chinese, the CCP, that maybe have been doing this stuff for a very long time that just don't give a damn about human rights. Well, I mean, you can make the argument that the deep underground bases here in the government wouldn't either. And maybe, let's just speculate that maybe we have a lot of missing people, and let's just leave it at that. But who knows? I think that's the question here, is if science is finally kind of cracking this code now and it's public, I think it stands to reason that maybe we've known how to do this for quite some time. And yeah, I'm with you, man. This is pretty scary stuff. So you've been out to this cave?
Pretty scary. The CCP's actually purchasing quite a bit of land out here in New Mexico.
Okay.
A lot of desert land's being bought up by CCP, from my understanding. But it's definitely not another realm to fathom. I think those definitely could have been something from Portal or Escape from Lab. That story definitely touched me. I was younger. I remember listening to it and enough to go out there and obviously check things out, hike it. I do remember obviously seeing a lot of cows, an abnormal amount of cows. Not a very big ranch out there. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then a lot of cameras. So you go out there, it's interesting. So there's 3 different homes, and they all have a lot of different camera equipment set up. You can go on, from my understanding, it's all BLM, but those 3 little homes are private, but they allow you access so you can get to the peak itself. To get to the peak is like a labyrinth. You have to go through all kinds of different like twists and turns, and takes a long time. So I didn't know this, but you can actually cut through the property, but the properties are laced with cameras, which is odd. But I went back and I read. So there were, like I said, a bunch of stories about treasure and the place being used as a safety deposit box. But I didn't get the vibe that, I don't know, I get a weird vibe. Maybe some of your listeners have gone out there or have checked it out, hiked out there, or maybe we'll have more to relate. There's no historical markers from as much history as I was able to research on, check things out. There's a lot of different stories, a lot of cool stuff, and from everything I looked up, that you can't find anything on, like, there's no historical markers, or there's not much, like, of course not a trailhead or anything, but you'd think there would be more, considering there was one of the first mines in New Mexico. There was different inscriptions. It's similar to the inscription rock north towards the Gallup Reservation. That's where the natives, the Spanish, the trappers, anyone who was anyone throughout the time passing through the old Camino Real would stop in the old Santa Fe Trail, Pecos Trail. They would all connect right in the area over here, and it housed the only area of water for like hundreds of miles in each direction. So anyone passing through at the time would leave their mark. And it's similar, and you'd think there would be more of a, hey, look, check this place out. So I think they're definitely doing either experiments or there's a portal. But anyways, I appreciate you letting me listen, and your show was always such a blast. So I hope I was entertaining or,
Absolutely, sir. You're on point to sell. Always a pleasure, JR. New Mexico is one of those hot spots, so keep your eyes out for us. We'd love to hear stories like this. Thank you for sharing, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, and have a great night. There you go, JR in New Mexico. And again, thank you again, JR, for the donation. He was listening to the show on Monday or last night, I think, and he left a nice donation on Rockfin for Troubled Minds. I appreciate that a lot. So that's the thing, right? This is why we do this live. This is why we've always done this live, because you never know. You never know what people have seen. You never know what secondhand stories, maybe family tales have been passed down. You never know. And look, we're talking about a hybrid man-cow, right? Man-cow, right? I don't know. That's crazy stuff right there. And so, serious people saw this and told the tale, and that's what I'm talking about. Has anybody else ever seen something like this out there? What a great story. So yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me. New Mexico in particular is very well known as a paranormal hotspot. Again, Dulce Base there is again in the Colorado New Mexico border. Then you also have Corona is where the actual Roswell crash happened. By the way, it wasn't actual Roswell. That's the town that kind of adopted the crash, but the crash site was actually in Corona. And so New Mexico's got a whole lot of stuff going on with it, right? And so that's what we're doing tonight. We're talking about all that stuff, and yeah, good stuff, JR. Thank you for the fantastic story. That's amazing. And all right, so here's what we're gonna do. Since we kind of had the call go over the hour there, we're gonna take a quick 2-minute break only because I have to take my dog out. She's freaking out here, and so we're gonna go play some music. We got Matt calling in right now, so Matt, hang tight. We're going to be with you in 2 minutes, and we'll get trucking here with this. And this is the story tonight. What do you guys think about this story right here? Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. And what kind of implications are here and for the future? And do you think it links us to the past somehow? So there we go. Going to play just a little bit of music. A quick 2-minute break. I'm going to take the dog out, and we're going to keep on trucking. So don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds and the call from Matt in California in just one moment. All right. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. Thanks for being patient with us. Let's get to Matt. Matt in California. Let's do it. All right. This is Michael Strange, Troubled Minds, and we're talking about this hybridization stuff again. The biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. What are the implications? Let's go to Matt in California. Thanks for being patient with me, my friend. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
I muted myself. Fantastic, thank you. I'm going to tell. I'll tell you why.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. Go right ahead, sir. What are your theories here?
I'm going to be short because these topics, when they're messing with the DNA, I don't like these. Kind of scary because it's uncharted territory, and going to go off the Jurassic Park stuff. There's literally movies showing us why this is a bad idea. But in that movie, they said, the quote is like, the scientists are so busy trying to see if they could do it that they never thought if they should do it. And so I believe the thing I think is, in this article, they're talking about scientists are discover what makes it so animals don't interbreed, and they're taking that away. And I believe, the creator, I call it the creator, put in believe whatever you want to believe. Like, he put that there for a reason.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Well, exactly. That's why there's no centaurs walking down the street right now. Am I right? That's why it's not happening.
Yeah. So that, whatever is in the DNA that makes species not want to interbreed was put there for a reason, to keep all the species, together. And so when we start playing God like this, I don't like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it starts to get creepy, right? The more you think about it. I saw some chat there talking about the implications of the soul and some language that stated abomination. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, I think when I call these when we did the show about like human pig chimeras and stuff, or the people trying to make hybrids, it's like I call it abomination. Because like an abomination is something that should not be on this earth. That's like, I guess, the definition I put it to. It's something that should not exist. So you start taking away an animal's will to not mate with a fish and a horse or whatever. What is that going to do? It would create whatever is an abomination.
Exactly. And
I think too is like keeping the species, like the breeds, like clean. So like, what if a species like does that over and over, and then like all of a sudden, like with the mosquitoes, like what if they breed all, hybrid breed all the mosquitoes, and then all of a sudden there's no such thing as a real mosquito anymore. They're all hybrids.
Monsters.
That would counterbalance like the whole entire circle of life, because every animal, every species has a place. And so if we start taking like say that if they were, breeding them out of existence, like hybrid, bringing them out of existence, that could be a catastrophe too.
Agreed, 100%. Once you start, Mao's China did that, right? They had the birds that were eating their grain, and so they put bounties on these birds, and we're like, no, hold on, you're not going to eat our grain. So everybody killed. I think it was I want to say starling. I don't think that's right, but it was some bird native to China that was eating the hell out of their grain, their rice actually, their rice crops. And so they killed all the birds. They put bounties on them, and they were just shooting them out of the sky with slingshots and rocks and everything else. And then guess what happened? So instead of the birds eating their grain, well, there was no longer birds to eat the insects. And so they lost 30% more than what the birds were eating because there was no birds to keep the insect populations in check. And just like you said, you mess with Mother Nature, man, and it has a way of coming back to bite you in the ass, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the same thing with like overfishing.
Yeah.
Like you can overfish, a population of fish, and it will mess up the whole ecosystem.
Yep.
Just that one. But mosquitoes are, people, we hate mosquitoes, right? Because we don't, you think of them, they're a pest. But it's like, yeah, exactly. The birds eat mosquitoes. So if mosquitoes go out of, go extinct, it'll just be like a chain reaction all the way down.
Exactly. Don't mess with Mother Nature, because Mother Nature has a way of getting back at you. That's for sure. 100%. Anything else, my friend?
That's where I want to go with that.
Okay. And it's true. It's completely true. There are examples. And so stupidly, we just continue to meddle with things. And one wrong twist of like a weird DNA thing, right? One wrong CRISPR twist, and here we go. We're going to turn this into who knows what. And I think that's the frightening part here. Kind of playing God. You end up with, a mess. And I hope we don't get there. Any take on the hybrids of the old days, the Egyptians and the rest of that? That fascinates the hell out of me, that if we're kind of coming back into that technology, did it exist before?
Yeah, with the Egyptian gods, like I'm still kind of confused about a lot of it because how it works, but it's like the creation stories of the Egyptian gods gets kind of weird. I'm off the air, right? Okay. Is like one of the first gods was Ra, and he was bored. He's by himself, like floating in the cosmos, and then it's gonna get kind of weird. So he masturbates, and that's what all the drops are all the gods. So like the gods are all connected, like they're kind of like brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and everything. And that's like the Egyptian creation story. So like I don't know where they got how each god was like a different head or a different, animal part. I don't know where all that came from. But it's just interesting to me, the whole Egyptian. I love the Egyptian pantheon and all the different gods and things like that from that. But I don't know like if that's what they're seeing or if that's just what maybe they didn't understand what they were seeing, so that's just how they wrote it down. Like it's a metaphor. Right,
exactly, and that's the conversation. It seems to me, like I said, I hate to go all ancient aliens, but like because they had the ability to draw people's faces, right? Like they had like full on 3D, carvings of people's real faces, and those beautiful funerary masks in gold. Like it stands to reason if they were trying to draw people, they would have drawn people, right? And so there's something to that, there's something there, whether that's some sort of ritual thing or whether that's I don't know, but it is fascinating to me. And you're right. Have you seen Stargate SG-1, by the way? I'm starting to watch that, and it has a bunch of that ancient Egyptian stuff in it. It's crazy.
I've seen the movie a long time ago, but I haven't watched the shows.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I love they have kind of Egyptian themed stuff in there too.
Yeah, Apophis and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. All right, cool. Anything else while we got you on? Fantastic call as always, my friend.
No, I'm going to go. Thank you, Mike.
You're the best. Thanks, Matt. Matt in California.
Have a good night.
Thanks for listening. You too, my man. Have a great night. Simple as that. You guys want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Where does this head? Biologists just got closer to the DNA secrets that stop species from interbreeding. We got Kelly here. And Kelly, whenever you're ready, my friend, hop on here. We're still taking your phone calls, guys. We've got lots of time. That's why we do the third hour, to kind of break it up so we don't have the radio weirdness with cutting people off and stuff, making you wait for breaks and all the rest of this. So thank you, Matt, for being patient as we jam that break in there so I could take the dog out. And we're still taking your calls, talking about this stuff and considering all the possibilities, because why the hell not? Right? Why not? If nobody's going to consider the possibilities, we may. We may as well, right? Yeah, great call. Let's see. Really troubling topics, as Elizabeth. And I'm kind of with you. The more you kind of think about this, the more it turns into whatever the hell's going on. One quick comment from Robert. He says, the last time these hybrid humans were created, God flooded the earth, supposedly. Thank you for the comment. Kelly, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Going on there?
Doing weird stuff, man, like we do. You know us.
Yeah, interesting topic. Always good with things like that from the Night Stalker.
Yeah, right. He's the guy who shared this show and the show on Monday. He's on fire lately for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I kind of take it different from what people are so afraid of. I don't understand. For me, again, like I read and research a lot of the ancient stuff, but before that, I want to get into like DNA. Okay, so which people, I don't know, people. I mean, they might have read it, through science and all that stuff through school, but they talk about not only animals, the ones that are close DNA to humans, which obviously are like a lot of the monkey. The monkeys out there are gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, stuff like that. But they also have like it's like a meerkat or even cows. Cows, not only DNA but also genomes, because the cow is actually a lot of close genome to the humans. Not only that, besides that is plants. Plants that have shared genes or even some type of which is called with plants. It's more of like, it's called EYA genes, right? It's the DNA coding is a little different, but it's more similar to where it's labeled as a EYA genes, and they produce a protein which actually is for humans. It creates like major organs, kidneys, livers, and stuff like that. But yeah, so everything on this planet is actually very close. You could say that it's that we're all animals from this planet. So why wouldn't we be so close? Even if you want to go biblical, or if you want to go with like the ancient astronaut theory, which is they had to take something from this planet, to help jumpstart like the human species. But with that said, the blockers, maybe the blockers weren't put in by a so-called God, right? Maybe those things were introduced with like the Anunnaki story, where these people came in. Because the reason why I say that is because you look at the ancient, texts, you look at ancient drawings and statues, and these things are thousands and thousands of years old, and they have these chimeras, these half animal, half what look like to be human, because even if you go with the biblical thing, like with Genesis, when they say, where it says God, to create human in our image, right? So if you go with that, with the with that type of a theory, right? I look at all this stuff. Maybe these creatures were already created before they came here to this planet. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at some of the oldest religion, which is Zoroastrian, which it comes out of Iran, that's the area of Persia. But if you look at some of those their god Ahura Mazda, he's shown, his upper body is shown like he's coming out of a winged disc, right? But then you have statues of him where he has an upper body of a man, but his lower half is like a cow. It's got hooves, but it's a winged hoof. It's a winged body. It's got wings and shit on it as well. And then you can go all down to the Parthenon of all the ancient stuff of Egypt. But again, with like even Thoth, like these gods with these bird heads and stuff, they weren't actually from Egypt. For example, Thoth was supposed to be from I can't remember that the land that they could never find. It's supposed to be within rings. Anyway, he's not from Egypt. He's from an earlier time, and Zep-Tepi was the earliest time before Egypt. And all these gods that came, which was Osiris and like Thoth. There were some of these other gods. They were, they had the birds' heads and stuff. Who's to say that the reason why they put those blockers on is because maybe that type of interbreeding or DNA mixing actually would strengthen or even and enhance our ability, not as much as human, but as an animal. You have a sight of an eagle, strength of a gorilla, or an elephant, or hearing of a dog, or stuff like that. You can see in the dark, or even they have the ability to fly. Maybe that's that's more like a superpower per se.
Yeah. Okay. So it is maybe a limiter of maybe like X-Men type hybrids, right? Like again. So if like I was describing earlier, if evolution was halted and basically they say that genetic mutation is what presses the species forward. But if you remove that blocker, then we have all kinds of things happening at a super fast pace because of interbreeding of species, like you said. And so imagine if you took like a human and just took all the best things from all the animals out there and put them into whatever form, like the Minotaur, right? Or something like this. Super big, super strong, super smart, has the best sense of smell, the best eyesight, maybe could pop some wings and fly. Maybe something like that, right? Like we're talking about literal superheroes here, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, not only, it's you could do that, or you could, actually even use it as, of course, our military would be like, try to do some like a super soldier or a super creature that's hard to kill, that you could send in there. But who knows that you can even train something like that. But, for one, it's not only, for me too, I look at it as these creatures may have been, because you don't really find any bones, no one really has. Except for once you hear a story of the Serapeum over in Egypt, where those giant sarcophagus were, and they said they found, they thought it was the Apis bull, but only in one, there's theory or old stories passed on that they was not only an Apis bull but different animal bones inside there. Who's to say that that they did collect these bones and then they put it together or it was mummified, and that they're saying that, oh yeah, we just found some bones, but in actuality, maybe they did find, some of these chimeras, and because no one's going to really even talk about that. You hear like these giant bones too, as well. The giants throughout history and through all biblical and anything that's that talked about throughout history, they talk about these giants. It's for me, like say those big. Like I said, Zoroastrian, there was representations, even in Egypt, because their gods are even have purple, blue skin, green skin. Who knows that these people didn't really look like this? They're not. I don't know why people get stuck on the whole human thing, where it's a bad thing. Maybe this thing was already from. It just maybe the human mind can't really wrap around what is actually what we consider as because we never even seen some shit like that. People think it's just mystery or some fake stuff, or people that have high imagination drew some shit like that. Or no, all these things were meanings to these people. They just didn't put that shit up there just for symbolism. Some of that stuff was, how do we know that it's not real? Where it was a creation. And I'm not the type of person for the God whole thing like that. So I don't say that it's like the spirit part. For me, everything dies. It's all energy, right? Because it's just energy never dies. It just transforms. But I'll give you an example, like for a Zoroastrian, just real quick. It's just like for Zoroastrian, there's some sources which is actually Zoroastrian is one of the oldest religions on the planet Earth, right? Again, that's from Iran, which is Persia, but they have some sources that they have, which is actually they talk about these 5 races of half human and half monstrous beast or whatever or creatures, and some of the tales it's called the Assyrian tree. And if you go by anything like biblical and stuff like the Assyrians, they were giants. But the sources were the Assyrian tree, primal creation, the memorial of Jamasp, and the new Persian epic of Shahim, which again they talk about these 5 half human, half monstrous beings. So yeah, I mean these things have been like I said, they've been talked about throughout history. So why, or even drawn and stuff like that? I don't for me, I just think of that way. Maybe that it's the ability to do stuff, or what I mean. Maybe you need this half animal. You need to think like a human, but you needed a super strength as as some enormous half monster body. Like a like pulling stuff, or like giant giant blocks of like Belbek, Lebanon. What I mean? Maybe it was like that animal of Zoroastrian. Like a Hudo-Mazda, where he's half. Like it looks like a giant, humongous, like a hoofed animal, and with wings.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the part of it too. Like we were saying, it is if you can draw a person, right? Like just back to that. Well, why are you drawing a person with wings, right? Like, is it literally just like the things that happen in our dreams and they're representations of those, or right? Like I don't know. Like I'm split in between that whole ancient astronaut bit and the things you're describing there. Like maybe these things existed. Maybe at some point there was something to this, and that's all I'm trying to say here. Like I don't know. What's the joke? I lost the joke now. The Elefino. Did you catch that joke?
Yeah. So for me, like I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. Like I've always talked about. What do people really think of what aliens look like? Or species? And not only that, but what about the animals that are on their planet? Again, people need to get out of the human Earth type thing of what everything around the whole universe is like. So again, who knows what these animals or creatures? Maybe they were from their planet and they helped, and then they had long lives, or maybe that's why you didn't find any bones, or maybe that these were half chimeras, like these humans with be able to fly and have superhuman or super strength. I wouldn't say superhuman strength, but super strength. The ability to rip a man apart, or just being giants. So maybe this is what that these scary biblical things that talk about the reason why they destroyed man, because they were. But I don't think it was man. It had to been somebody else. Because if you go to the ancient times, how in the hell we know what DNA was? Or even to mix the shit, to create these animals or creatures.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why there's a lot to this, right? So there's maybe ancient implications here, but what about modern implications? So you're wondering why people are freaked out about this. Well, like I said, wouldn't you shit your pants? I certainly would if there was you just saw like a centaur walking down the street. I'd be like, oh my God, get me out of here, right? Like if that wouldn't cause like any visceral reaction in you, I'm not sure what would, right? You're a greater man than I, my friend. I would totally shit my pants.
Oh yeah, that would be actually what these people are calling non-binary nowadays. It ain't this, I'm not male or female. Maybe they're not just whatever, Now that's real true. I would call it true meaning of non-binary. Something that people again. I don't know how it would feel. Like I said, though, how would people feel, not that thinking that every alien out there looks like a gray, or what else, like reptilianoid? Has anybody really even seen one? You know what I mean? Like actually, let's get, because you get some film out there that's actually have some pretty crazy features of these, that look like a human, but then in the dark or the shadow, they change something, their facial structure, like, there was one that was, I guess it was who was it? It was a president or something, I think. And anyway, one of the security guards, the light went down, and his facial, and he was security, but his facial structures looked like it was changing form, didn't have ears. His head looked like it. He was a bald-headed man, but maybe it was something else. But yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing that I kind of wanted to throw in there, is that maybe that these things had been around, and yeah, the whole implication of them being able to do that, I just see it as more of a military thing. They're not going to come out with that with, they're just letting us know that they have the science for it. So now what do you do with it? What do these mental crazy ass scientists want to do with some shit like that? Do you want to open up that Pandora's gate, or do you want to, and then people would actually call that, we're playing God or whatnot. But, I don't think it was what people think a God is. I think it was something else, that it was a different species.
Right, that actually goes way back, right? So basically, we're talking about maybe rediscovering these things. So do you think that they were actually like running whatever was going on? Like I said, we didn't know what DNA was back then, but somehow this barrier was broken down enough to where maybe these hybrid creatures existed. Why do you think that is? Like I said, maybe there was like some sort of ritual worldwide incantation that disallowed this from happening, right? Something like this.
Yeah, maybe they were special creatures. Who knows? Because they weren't in mass production. You never hear about like armies of these, and only in giants. Never in like these weird chimeras. It was like one or twosies, like Medusa. They had to go in there and kill it. Right. They had a minute. They had to go in and kill it. It wasn't like armies of this shit. That's what I'm saying. Maybe these creatures are not from this planet that they were brought here. And they were, of course you have, most. And that's what kind of they say, I've ran across where some scientists say that, it's kind of weird that why is all animals, or that's, depicted or even, talked about, where people say, they were abducted, but they're all bipedal, they got 2 arms and 2 legs. Why not have 8 arms and 12 legs and look like a fucking insect?
Right. Like Shiva.
Yeah.
Blue skin and 6 arms. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part too. You look at ancient India and like all their gods. And that's what I'm saying. So, that's the whole ancient alien thing too. With like, if you look back in past, back then in the old days, these creatures were seen. They were like gods to them. They were half snake, like you said, like Shiva. And, it's not like, and these people, they're gods, they're type of gods, or even like these blue skin, or, people, they look like a human, but they got like multiple arms, or, but they're shown, they were flying in these Vimanas and had wars in the skies and shit against their enemies. And that's what I'm saying. It's can't always think as the human, you got to put that in the drawer, and drink that maybe juice and, come up with something else besides the fact that, that it's an abomination. Maybe it's just a creature, it's just a creature that was either created or, that maybe these things are from a different planet and brought here that we just don't know what the hell, we just freak out about it.
Yeah, well, like I said, at some point, so we can take it and say like a hybrid, all right, and say, okay, this sure, fine, maybe we could get over that. Let's just go back to the idea of the centaur, because everybody knows what it is, right? You got the horse with the torso of a person, all right? However, what happens when these hybrids become, right, we're talking about CERN now in the chat, is imagine like the old ones. We've talked about the great old ones and things like this. Like maybe when the hybrids become so monstrous that they're, I don't know. Like, what would you say? Like horrific. So surely you think that there's a limit to this that maybe should be maybe stopped, squelched. I don't know. Like I don't know. I think that's the thing. I think that's the terrifying part to me anyway, is that you kind of think of it in terms of creatures. That's fine. However, when you, how far does it go, right? So like, okay, you can make him bigger, better, faster, stronger. You can add wings. We could add all the things like we were talking about when you said the superheroes and that type of thing, right? Sort of that evolutionary mix of these things. But then, right, what happens when it becomes so monstrous, right? Is there a limit there? I guess really that's, in my mind, that's where this goes. Is there a moment where you're like, whoa, hold on, guys, this is just too far? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you would also have to think about that too. And I'm pretty sure that these other people or these other, species that came here and brought these other animals here, they, like I said, if they are chimeras and they're half animal and say half type of, let's say, human or their species, right? Of course, they got to have a limit. And the reason for that is because you don't know the total ability of something like that, right? Could they overtake and overthrow a whole planet, kind of like aliens, that they were more of a bug species, but they, their whole function was just to reproduce and, destroy everything else that they find or kill anything that, that's a threat to them, that, because if that's the case, then, yes, there, of course, you got to have limits if you're creating these things. But yet, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think there were, there was only a few of them because, again, they're only talked about like onesies and twosies, like here and there. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't like a mass army of these things. You never hear that in ancient histories, Like the only ones, like I said, would be the giants, these giant human-like, giants, 20, 30, 40 feet tall. That's how tall. If you go by like the Moses thing, and they talk about, when they sent his spies out when they were roaming the desert for 40 years, and the spies came back and they said, oh, this land is very fruitful, has, this fruit here, this food here. But yet there's giants and we look like grasshoppers to them in their sight. That's a pretty fucking big human, So that's what I'm saying. I don't know, yeah, there would have to be a limit, or maybe even the cosmos won't allow certain species to interbreed no matter what, because there's some DNA that just don't even they don't even code match or anything like that. And the fact for that too, though, you don't ever hear an animal. Well, you have bestiality, but you don't have their DNA just won't ever mix like that. That these things would have to be made in a petri dish. They're made somehow. They're not, especially if it looks like half human and half animal. But like if you have animal, that's a different story. So again, yeah, maybe unblocking that, there is going to be some consequences of what you're doing. And again, that's the problem with humans, though. They always want something different and weird and better or stranger or something that's more aggressive, with the military or, something that would protect them. But again, if you're going into outer space and different planets, you're going to have some kind of protection with you, not just only a weapon, maybe something of an animal species like what those people brought with their here to Earth.
I see. Interesting. Yeah. Again, a lot to it, right? Like repercussions for the future, and also like some disturbing looks into the past. I think it's weird, right? Like the more science kind of digs into things, the more we're kind of looking at some full circles, I believe. And unfortunately, well, I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. I don't know. I hate to be the negative guy here, but you know what I mean. Like I would be at least a little miffed if I saw some, like actual hybrid creatures. I'm not sure if you saw that video that Night Stalker sent about the baby, like the baby chick with the wings or whatever that looked like a real baby. Did you see that? It's like an ad from Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, no.
Yeah, so it's just short. It's like 2 minutes. It's in the links there. And so there's like this woman pushing around this baby carriage. And in the baby carriage, they have this baby, but the baby's like kind of like professionally done up to look like a hybrid bird. And so the baby has like wings and like, kind of like a beak thing and like some feathers on his head. And right, just kind of in public. And they've got the cameras on people going like, oh shit, right? You start to see like the reactions of people staring at this thing going, whoa, like, can I get closer? Can I look? Right? Like people don't know how to react. Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. You know what? Now you said that though, if you pay attention, I don't know if anybody else follows like the down in the in the Hindu religion, or even India, let's go with India, right? It doesn't matter their religion, but like, I don't know why there is a lot of weird, and it looks like chimeras where these things are born, whether it be more animal and they look human. You know what I mean? There was like these goats that got like a man's face, or a fish that got like a man's face, or a baby that comes out, it's got tails, or and it's weird because like I look at that whole area and you talk about these ancient, let's go back to the ancient, like the Mahabharata, where they talk about their gods fighting their enemies in these flying vimanas and destroying each other, and they were using nuclear weapons. That's what it has to be. Or even in the Sumerian, where they talk about the weapons of terror, and they were like more or less nuclear weapons, because they talk about this cloud that came in and killed everything else off. But through India, with all those, with their stories and their incredible stories about their gods, but you see, if it was nuclear waste or from bombs and stuff that were ancient bombs that were let loose, that area or that continent has a lot of weird. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but they have a lot of different weird chimeras or creatures being born there in that country. And I swear to you, I mean, it's a lot. It's not just like here and there. It's happened a lot, and I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. That was my dog chirping here. That wasn't me turning into a hybrid, by the way. That's my dog chirping. She's like, "Let me out of here." Yeah. I don't know. Like, and again, so I think you're right. I think we agree on this. Is there's got to be universal limits. There's like a whole lot here that right. Again, it's so crazy. You can think about this exact thing we're talking about and think about it 1,000 years into the future, and the results could be terrifying. But then again, like we've been talking about, you could also take the exact same thing and take it 10,000 years back or 100,000 years back and suggest that maybe this stuff has been happening anyway. So maybe it's not as alien as we're led to believe. It's just maybe this whole reacclimating us to this hybrid idea, right? I think maybe that's where we're at. And again, you think aliens are weird, right? Like little green men, like you said. Wait till you get the first like weird ass hybrid, like that little baby bird or whatever in the carriage. Like shit's gonna blow up, man. Like the world is gonna become. We think it's strange now. I think we're just beginning, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, who knows how long with these things could even live? You know what I mean? Or even they can, get them into mature to a certain age, or even how long even their lifespan, if that's the case. But there's that old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself. So I just hope, you can only say hope, that these people have got a limit to themselves, to where they're not going to create something that can actually take over this planet. You know what I mean? Like I said, like the movie Aliens, where those things that look like a bug type thing, and again, they do, they wrap around your throat, lay an egg, and burst out your chest. You don't want no shit like that.
No, let's not do that. Can we not do that, Kelly? Let's not do that. Yeah, you're right. Man. Yeah. Go ahead, my man. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying again. It's just there's nothing new under the sun. Let's just. I don't think not every creature can be, manipulated in that way or crossbred, but I'm pretty sure they're going to try. You know what I mean? I just don't want no weird alien type shit going on.
I'm with you. Don't be busting aliens out of our stomach, please. Let's not do that. I'm crossing my fingers for that. And that's right. Like I said, portals, Lovecraft, like who knows where this leads. And I think you're right. At some point there's got to be a universal limit, and let's hope it exists before we get to like creating Cthulhu or something, right? Because that's where this leads, man. That's where this leads. Like a super. Think about it. So it's like not just like this bizarro, like hybrid, super monstrous, like really difficult to kill, but then it's like somehow locked into the singularity AI, right? Like we have this weird convergence of things happening all at the same time, and I think that's what makes a troubled mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, man, that's touching on some dangerous ground there, because again, I was just thinking while you were talking that for a second was just like, what if they have, what if it enhances their mental capability where they can, like read minds and lift shit up and, with, just their mind. Not only the fact of what they want to eat or whatever, but man, that is a dangerous ground to be walking on with. Because, it's the government, you know what I mean? Or even, some crazy ass scientists. And there's crazy ass scientists been throughout history. So people want to do some shit they probably shouldn't be touching.
Exactly right. And that's why we like to think in terms of maybe the largest scope. Hal says in the chat at Troubled Minds, who determines the universal limit? And that's a good question. I think that's what do you call it? Godhead stuff. That's creator level stuff, right? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know there is an answer to that. But you know how we find it? We push the limits, don't we? That's how we find it.
For me, though, for the universal limit, if there is something to the fact of, you guys heard the stories where, there's like 5 races out there and, they come together as a mutual respect. They're not, I can't remember the name that they use, but, because, they have to have some kind of universal laws. People that are jumping around in space and stuff doing that. I'm pretty sure not everything out there is following all the rules, but at the same time, there's got to be some kind of census going on. That's higher thinking than what humans can, because they just want to touch shit that they ain't even supposed to, It's blinking red. Let's touch it,
Yeah. And worse than that even. Do not press this button. Oh yeah. Hold my beer. Hell yeah. Always great shit, my friend. Anything else while we got you on, my man?
No, my brother, that was it. I just wanted to kind of throw some wrenches and stuff too, like I always do. So
perfect. Sorry, go ahead. You cut out.
I just said have a good evening and good night.
Thanks a lot, my man. You too. That's Kelly in Colorado. Appreciate it, my friend. Great stuff as always. There you go. We got a little bit of time for you if you guys want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's Kelly in Colorado, longtime friend of the show. Been calling. I think he was the first caller way back in the day. I think he was the first guy to call into the show. So there you go. We got Kelly. Great stuff as always. And look, right, we go from like human hybrids to maybe the ancient Egyptians to what? Cthulhu. The singularity tied into Cthulhu, right? I don't know. I think that's the type of stuff that you got to consider, right? You got to really think about the world in terms of maybe greater things and universal concepts, and that's what we're here doing. There you go. Emin, what's up? Emin the Spook says, Tower of Babel pushed the limits and God interfered. And that's a good one. That's actually a good one. Is that what this is about? And that's what's going on. I think that's the deal. Yeah, I'm good. I feel great, Penny. Thank you. Literally just I ate a bit of bad chicken, and well, you know what happens when you do that. I feel great today. Thank you. All right, so let's we're just kicking it, hanging out. We got time for you if you guys want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. The Discord link is working again. Like I said, just let me know, guys, if it doesn't work, and I'll just replace it, because it'll only let so many clicks and then it expires. So there we go. All right, so let's do it. Let's go to let's finish this sucker up with our good buddy Jay in New York. Let's do the Jatro. Good old Jatro. What's up, Jay? Whenever you're ready, my friend. I know you're on a little bit of a delay because that's the way these streams work, but whenever you're ready. There we go. See? You always know when they bump out because they heard me. Welcome to the show, Jay. Jay in New York. How are you, my friend? Let's try that again.
Mike?
Hello, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I was having a technical delay there.
That's okay. That's okay. It happens to the best of us. What's up, my man? How are you?
Great. I'm glad you're better.
Thank you.
Yeah, on with the goings on of today. Yeah, playing with God. I mean, what was going on there in the end with the, God intervening and stuff. That's where I lost you and cut back up. It just, are we there now? Is that what we're doing? Or 10 years from now, God's going to come down and be like, all right, humans, you guys are being kind of stupid here. Cut it out. And here's a flood or a whatever. We start. Well, I mean, we're playing games with all kinds of stuff right now. Why would you want to interbreed species? Who's paying for it and why is the question I'd like to know. Why do you want to gain up on that? What's your end purpose? Kelly was saying with the military, are you going to end up with a xeno thing from aliens?
Let's hope not. I don't want that.
Well, absolutely, I don't want that either. But what's I don't know. The purpose in it is what I'm really curious about, and I don't think that it's a good idea at all. And it's crazy to think that maybe it's been going on forever. We're just repeating a great big huge circle. We're at the beginning of it. You're going to start seeing minotaurs walking around the streets asking for your vaccine card.
Like from the Princess Bride, the Brute Squad. It's comprised of minotaurs and centaurs, but not with bows and arrows. They've got AR-15s.
Exactly. Digital scanners for your license and everything else.
That needs to be a movie. That totally needs to be a movie. Yeah.
Hopefully one of these conversations streams a good book or a good movie for somebody that listens to the show so they can make it rich.
Oh my goodness. We got tons and tons and tons of that. I've actually got an old concept for a novel I wanted to write, but instead I'm doing this. So I just had the idea. I was talking to my brother about this not too long ago. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I do that idea as an audio book instead, or like an audio drama? That would be much less work than writing an entire novel, but it's very much based on a lot of the stuff. These conversations have filled in a lot of the details, is my point. But I always kind of had an idea, right? I can tell you where it starts if you want, but we'll save that for another time. But yeah, I mean, this is where we're at. How far do you push it? Like Kelly was describing, do you think there is a universal limit to this? Or are we going to hybridize everything and create Cthulhu all over again?
Well, then we're going to be doing it forever because, I mean, even the simplest things that we've done already, grain is genetically modified, corn's genetically modified, rice, blah, blah, blah. They were taking horses and mules and making them into donkeys, donkeys and horses and making them into mules. Well, mules are, I don't know what is it? They're not asexual. They're sterile.
Sterile. Yes, yeah. We were looking for that earlier. I couldn't. That's what I was looking. Yeah. Thank you for correcting us on that. But yes,
it's the same way with the genetically modified food that you buy. The seeds and the plants and stuff that you buy that are already grown from Agway or whatever your little farm store is there. If you take those seeds of those tomatoes or whatever, and you dry them out the way that you're supposed to, and back of the farmer's almanac, and put them away for the winter in the freezer or whatever you got to do to get them to crack to grow them the next year. The genetically modified ones are designed so they will not grow, right? Because they want you buying the seeds next year,
right?
A soybean farmer. Look at a soybean farmer. If a soybean farmer could take a half an acre of his land every year and just dry the seeds out and do it again, there'd be no reason to buy them off of, I can't remember what the company's name is that sell, major provider of soybeans. I don't catch the farm report as much as I used to, but we've already been playing those games. Now we want to make, the little owl baby so we can push it around to get likes on our YouTube page because you don't have a real skill. What would that, I still can't think of any purpose to want to do something unless you were doing it for malicious intention, live forever. I mean, that's how the gene that, Bezos is going to come up with in his little lab there. Oh, you can do it, but you got to be in an owl baby to live forever.
Yeah, it's interesting how those two topics kind of line up with each other, don't they? Secret labs underground, immortality, and well, hybrids. maybe that's the trick, right? Like to think about that. What do they have? Like some turtles live to be 200 years old or 250 years old, right? Maybe that's the hybrid.
Way old, yeah.
Yeah.
We were going to make a joke when we got married. We were going to get a tortoise, the first wife and I, or just so we could curse the entire family because they had a lifespan of 175 to 250 years.
Right, exactly.
You want the inheritance? You're going to have to take care of the turtle.
There it is, right? So that's what I mean. Maybe that's the question here. Maybe the two things are linked together, where we have not just the hybridization, but it's built into that maybe immortality. Is maybe you need the tortoise DNA, and right again. So you make so I guess we're talking about back to the super soldier conversation. That same sort of thing, right? Once you start hybridizing things, and again, right, that we've talked about, like they're going to be testing pills on soldiers to delay their aging. It's like, wait, what? Like I said, well, how could this go wrong, right? It's one of those again. It's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to, you're going to make a compromise from there's a balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The universal limit that we were bringing up earlier. There's a balance. Yeah, we can probably give, I don't know, all these soldiers in World War II a bunch of meth and they can probably fight forever. But the thing is when they were done, they were absolutely addicted to meth and they probably died young because what it did to their heart and their lungs and their kidneys and everything, their noggin. You know, I mean, there's compromise. I mean, you know, how long's the owl baby going to live? You know, how long is the tortoise kid? That would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That would be kind of cool to have those guys running around.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. The tortoise.
I mean,
what do you get if you mix a tortoise and Jeff Bezos? That's right, a Bond villain Ninja Turtle. That's what you get. I'm telling you, man, the world is a weird place, is it not?
It is. And maybe that's all part of the Great Reset too. You know, it's like, hey, look, we've been playing these games. You know, our bodies get cancer now, which probably is kind of like a real thing. It shouldn't happen, but for whatever reason, it does.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe we're there. We just get to discover it and have a couple of laughs over a beer or two. You know, and hey, wait a minute, we just figured out what was going on. Great. You know. Oh, you know, it's going to take forever. I don't think it'll, you know, the first day you see the owl baby, they're not going to be flying in the sky invading us or whatever, make their own country.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen that fast.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, you can't make it happen that fast because then we have a different problem, right? You got to boil that frog slow, and that's what we're always talking about. Crazy stuff. Any thoughts on like the maybe the ancients, maybe say Atlantis or any of the rest of this? Excuse me, having access to this technology? Something like that, and maybe it is coming full circle, or do you think that's just us maybe taking this a step too far?
No, I really think that's spot on. Actually, you know, I don't really discount the fact that 100,000 years ago, you know, people were running around with cell phones. You know, it's highly possible. Then, you know, an EM pulse from the sun, or a war, or someone that decides to build the 8 people that beat her ass. You know, I think we're in like a big circle, and I think we're coming back around. And I think it definitely, like you were saying, I don't know, a couple callers ago about how elaborate the artwork and the, carvings and stuff like that in ancient. They didn't need to make a dog head on it because they could make it an elaborate people head.
Right. They can make it look like you, make it look like me. Yes.
Right. Why'd you put wings on it? What was really in the basement of the pyramid? Is that what Jeff Bezos is going to build on top of his lab when he finally figures it out? A great big huge pyramid to hide his stuff. No one's ever been in the basement of the pyramid. You can barely get in the pyramids.
I got an idea. There's in the basement of the Jeff Bezos Immortality Lab, there's a portal that goes to the basement of the pyramid. Why the hell not, right? We do live in the upside down. Why the hell not? The immortality ritual has to happen beneath the Great Pyramid at Giza.
You want to get to the Stargate under Giza, you have to go to Jeff Bezos and take the little whatever blue pill, red pill, whichever one he decides.
Hop in the little tram down the tunnel way.
Yeah,
to the Stargate.
Elon Musk, boring company there.
Right, exactly.
Tesla car in it.
Yeah. Now we're just being silly, but I mean, we've been silly for half the time anyway, because the hell if I know. Right. Wait, is that what is it? I can't remember the joke.
Hell if I know.
The elephino. When you mix an elephant and a rhino, you get the elephino. The elephino. See, there it is. There it goes. We're bringing it back. We're bringing back the dad joke. Great stuff, Ronald. That's still a comment of the night. It's hard to beat that one. But okay, yeah. So anything on this? What we got you on here, Jay? As we wrap this up and finish this MFer.
No, it's great. Luna's got to go.
No, she's good. We're okay. No problem.
But yeah,
no problem.
Really, I don't know. The great conversations let your mind wander around. I agree that maybe we shouldn't mess with those things. That's what Matt was saying. It's a bad idea and an abomination. It's just it's something's gonna go real bad. You start playing games like that, you're playing with serious fire. I can't really see the good in it. It's fun to talk about and everything else like that, but another thing that scares me though is these are the things that are getting out and getting put into the scientific magazines. What are the things that aren't?
Yeah, exactly. What has DARPA been up to for 30 years? That's what I want to know.
Right. Yeah, gene splicing. There's probably owl adolescents running around right now. When the pandemic's over and all the kids go back to school for real and everything else like that, they're going to have an owl kid or a deer kid sitting in the back.
Amen to that.
I don't know.
Amen to that. We'll see. As great comments, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out, doing all the things. Let's do the J-Tro. You ready for the J-Tro?
I am.
All right. Give me just a couple seconds here, and I'll play you some music, and let's do this. All right. Turn it down just a smidge, and music is playing right now. Go ahead, my friend.
We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and our own. And that's Cesar Chavez.
Nice. Great stuff as always, Jay. Thank you so much. There's the dog chirping. See? I'm not a hybrid, I promise. That's actually a dog chirping like a bird. Maybe she's a hybrid. As we finish, we're here with Jay. We're here with Kelly. Kelly stepped out for a sec, but he's here listening. And we're here with you. As I always say, as we finish this, I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. We're here with Jay in New York. I'm me, you're you, but together, we're us. It's an important concept. And we're done for tonight. That's the bad news. The good news is, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, to do more Troubled Minds. And who knows what's on deck? There's all kinds of things. There's some alien news. There's other stuff. We'll take a look and see what's going on. And yeah, what is happening in the world around us. Thanks again, Jay, for hanging out.
Have a great night, Mike. I'm glad you're better.
Thank you. You too as well. You guys probably don't want to speak for anybody, but we'll be in the Outside Our Minds. Join the Discord if you have not, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Come in and say hi. Lots of smart people in there sharing some ideas. Conversations go all over the damn place. So if you want to be part of it, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Thanks for hanging out. And the outro goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 7, guys.